talkSPORT Sports Update, powered by the Nissan Van Range, helping business owners to work better and live better. Search Nissan Vans or head to your local Nissan Van Centre.
With your latest sports headlines, I'm Matt Hutchinson. We're going to start with Morgan Rogers, who continued to stake his claim for the England 10 shirt with a goal and an assist against Wales. He says it's no bad thing to be fighting with Bellingham, Foden, Palmer and Grealish for that position.
Every player will be breathing down each other's necks and the competition will be high, and that's what we want as an England squad. That's what we want as a nation going into a tournament. You want people competing for places, you want different options, and I think that's what we got. So I'm just going to keep pushing and see where it takes me.
Next up for England is Latvia on Tuesday night. You can hear that one live right here on talkSPORT. Meanwhile, in the Wales camp, Craig Bellamy has been reflecting on the gap in quality between the two sides.
I so want us to be in this group, to be this type of team, athletically as well. It wasn't able to be happening tonight, of course, but if I'm being honest, we lost to the better team.
Heading north of the border now, and Scotland are still in the hunt for automatic World Cup qualification following their 3-1 win over Greece. The scoreline slightly flattered Steve Clarke's men, who bounced back from going a goal down with around half an hour to play.
Obviously a big win for us. It was a difficult first half. I thought we showed a great attitude to dig in. Sometimes people forget that football's over 96, 97, 98 minutes, whatever it is now.
Clarke's side are now second in their World Cup qualifying group, only behind Denmark on goal difference. Elsewhere this morning, Premier League ref Anthony Taylor has revealed his family no longer go to his matches because of abuse officials can get. He says refs are now expected to satisfy a culture of perfection. And Ricky Hatton's funeral procession has just started as we're travelling from his hometown High to Manchester Cathedral, where a private funeral is taking place. The procession will finish at Man City's Etihad Stadium this afternoon.
talkSPORT News.
An end to the fighting in Gaza is expected to begin within 24 hours, and more migrants have been sent back to France under the government's one-in, one-out deal. More from the news team at past.
talkSPORT weather with QuickFit, your go-to destination for quality tyres from great brands like Continental. Visit your local centre or quickfit.com and book today.
We're expecting a dry Friday for most of the UK, with plenty of sunny spells in the north and the west.
Hello, very good morning to you. You're listening to Sam Matterface and Alex Crook, and we're live on talkSPORT this Friday morning. So Thomas Tuchel has criticised England fans for being silent during the 3-0 win over Wales last night, adding the lack of energy at the ground was sad. What does that mean for his relationship with the England fans before it's even really get up and running? Or was he just trying to up the ante with everyone? Also today, the revolving door of managers has once again spun at Watford. Could Summer World Cup soon be a thing of the past? And does the game's pursuit of perfection disregard the trouble it leaves in its wake? Plus, thousands are lining the streets today, the city centre and areas around Greater Manchester today to honour the life and say goodbye to the great Ricky Hatton, an icon of the Northwest. You're listening to Sam Matterface and Alex Crook, and we're here right the way through to 1 o'clock. And a very good morning to you wherever you are, whatever you're doing this morning. Thank you very much for choosing talkSPORT this morning. We're delighted to have your company. We don't have Troy Deeney with us today. He's had a little bit of an incident, so he's not available this morning. So, we didn't bother with a last-minute replacement because we can't really replace the main man, can we? So instead, it's just me and you. You okay?
Or was it because Scott Minto wasn't available till 11?
Yeah. All right, okay. Just give away the trade secrets. Yeah, we did try to get the $1 million Minter, but he's not here till 11 o'clock. Is he coming in? I don't even know if he is.
Yeah,
is he? Well, that's just great.
Got a thumbs up from the referee.
So we got an hour with just me and you. Which is nice because we don't really spend that much time together. Shall I tell the story?
You go for it.
So we went to. It's really important that we did this thing on. It was Tuesday night, and one of our dear friends who used to work here, Russ Hargreaves, sadly passed away a couple of years ago, and we do a tribute night to him every year. He used to work at Arsenal as well, so we play a darts match between talkSPORT staff and Arsenal TV staff, right? And we went to the Arsenal Supporters Club. They looked after us brilliantly, by the way, didn't they?
Good spread.
Absolutely fantastic. Like, just great hospitality and also just like, really friendly people and really helpful. We had a really great darts competition, which talkSPORT won. No thanks to you. Well, you lost your leg. But you don't need to go into it. You don't need to go.
Playing the only player from the opposition who turned up with his own darts, and I came very close to the checkout of the night.
You did?
2 trebles. Left me with a double, missed the double, would have been 108 checkout.
Did you win your leg?
No.
Right, okay.
Did you finish on a double?
I can't remember. All I know is that I won. That's all I can remember. And yes, it was very fluky, and I'm the worst darts player in history.
I think you tossed a coin by the end, didn't you, to see who won?
Drew lots. But afterwards, because you are quite cheap, aren't you? You don't like to splash out.
Frugal.
I'd booked a hotel room.
Yep.
And you asked me if you could stay with me.
Yep.
And oh my God, it was like sleeping in the pig pen at London Zoo. It was unbelievable. The snoring was off the charts. And in the morning, he woke up and he went to me, "Don't tell my wife that I was snoring that badly because it legitimises why she gets out of the bed every night." So yeah, we'll keep it a secret. Anyway, we are available on YouTube. We're on the Google TV. We're on Connected TV, Prime Video, wherever you get those sort of visual apps. You can download the talkSPORT app. You can watch the show in all its glory. Those of you who watched England last night would have been impressed with the first 20 minutes. They outclassed Wales at Wembley. But Thomas Tuchel was left feeling a little bit flat afterwards. This is a guy that wants Premier League atmosphere, wants Premier League intensity. He wants to feel the heat and the passion of Premier League football. He didn't quite get it, and this is what he said afterwards.
The stadium was silent. We never got any energy back from the fans, and I think the players delivered a lot to get more from the stands. So it was difficult to keep everything going in the second half, but we did excellent. We deserved to win. What more can you give than 20 minutes, 3 goals, and the thing we were going and the way we attacked Wales and then didn't let them escape even of their own half and had ball win after ball win after ball win. And yeah, so if you're then here for half an hour, just Wales fans, it's a bit sad because I think the team deserved big support today.
That was Thomas Tuchel talking to our colleagues at ITV last night. Was it ill-judged or was it an attempt to get everyone to up the ante?
I can see the argument for both, and I think you've got a different view to me on this one. I think it's a little bit ill-judged and misguided at a time when there is still a percentage of the England fan base who aren't necessarily comfortable with the idea of an overseas manager, and I think it will only inflame their agitation. And
that would be sad, wouldn't it?
In what way?
Well, in the idea that it would be an excuse to bring that all up again. I think we've got to the point where that's not really the factor. We're really concentrating on the team at the moment. The team has started to play well. To go backwards into that scenario, I think would be a little bit sad. Really.
Yeah, but if you're looking for reasons to denigrate the appointment, then I think Thomas Tuchel has left himself wide open. I've been at Wembley quite a lot in recent seasons for these qualifiers, or as friendly as it was last night. It's a great opportunity because the ticket prices are relatively cheap to take the kids and maybe people who don't get the chance usually to watch England. So the atmosphere is very different from away games when obviously you've got the hardcore England supporters. I think I watched every England game pretty much at the Euros behind the goal with the England fans, and the atmosphere was fantastic.
Well, it always is, especially away from home. And I obviously go away a lot with England, and the fact that the Serbia support was off the scale, brilliant, by the way.
And it will be again in Latvia, 2,500 of them in a rundown athletic stadium.
Athens, which was really difficult for some of those England supporters, was absolutely top-notch. The England support that travel away are absolutely superb, and they're always behind the team, and they have to stay right to the very end, but they do anyway. But it is different at Wembley, isn't it? The makeup of the crowd is different. You've already mentioned that you go there a lot, and when you go there because you can get tickets to take your whole family. It's not something you can do at a Premier League game.
No, I go to take the kids.
Exactly.
I'm not particularly interested in being at England-Albania, but I did it because the tickets were reasonable for the kids. They get the chance to see their Premier League heroes that maybe they won't get the opportunity to week in, week out. They like making paper airplanes and chucking them on the pitch. That seems to happen a lot at Wembley as well. But you have to look at the calibre of opponent that England play at Wembley is usually quite low. I mean, I was racking my brains the last time they played a decent side at Wembley, probably Germany in the European Championships. I'm struggling to remember one since then, really.
I don't know if they played. Did they play a friendly against Brazil in the last year or a couple of years ago? Maybe.
I don't recall that one. But my point is that they're playing inferior opponents, as Wales were last night. Really disappointed with Craig Bellamy's side in that opening half an hour. Played their way out of the game. So the crowd are going to get a little bit distracted. And also, I think Thomas Tuchel was alluding to the empty seats at the start of the second half, which are always visible at Wembley because particularly the camera focuses on that Club Wembley area, which is not always full. But the other thing that Thomas Tuchel needs to realise is that a lot of England fans only go to these games because they want their ticket stamp, they want the cap, which helps them get tickets for the away games.
But isn't he trying
and then they leave.
But isn't he trying to stop that sort of attitude prevailing? And listen, I understand it, completely understand it, because you want to get as many caps as possible so you can go to the World Cup, so you can go to the big tournaments, so you can go to the big games. I get that. But is he not trying to say, look, if we want to win the World Cup, if we want to make sure that we drive this team past where we've gone before, we've got so close, we want to go to the next level, we need everybody to contribute. So we want to raise everybody's standards, not just the players, not just the support staff, not just the manager, but the fans as well. Everybody's got to get behind this journey. The best teams, and he's been watching documentaries about the New England Patriots over the course of the last few weeks, and he's obsessed with this idea of building a team. He's all about the team. He's all about the ethic. It's all about everybody being together. And he doesn't just mean necessarily the players. He doesn't just mean the coaching staff. He doesn't just mean the staff at St George's Park. He means everybody. The whole country have got to buy into this project, which is England winning the World Cup. There isn't anything wrong with that, is there?
No, but this is a relatively recently appointed England manager who's only just celebrated a year in charge. I think his comments can be seen by some as a smack in the face to those fans who've been there through the good times and the bad times. Our good friend Dom, who's one of our APs, our production staff on a Sunday, he's tweeted this morning referencing the fact that Thomas Tuchel didn't go over and acknowledge the England fans in Serbia, went straight down the tunnel. So I just think he leaves himself open to criticism. And it deflects also from another pretty good England performance. You asked me before the game, what do you want to see from this game tonight? And I said, I want to see England continue where they left off in Serbia. I want to see them put a team to the sword. They did that. We should be talking about that this morning and not the negative comments from the manager.
OK, we will talk about that as well. But we want to know your views on what Thomas Tuchel said last night. It's 03717 2233 44 if you want to get involved. You can text us 81089. As well, you can get involved on WhatsApp. We take your voice notes 03717 2233 44. 23rd of March 2024. England against Brazil in a friendly. Endrick scored with 10 minutes to go. You remember that?
No. It's been airbrushed from my memory.
This is talk.
But for every Brazil, there's an Albania and a Serbia and a Latvia and a Wales.
That's not England's fault. They don't choose.
No, it's not the fans' fault either.
They don't choose the fixture list, do they?
It's not the fans' fault either.
No, but the fans do turn up. Yeah, the fans do turn up in their numbers.
And by the way,
they get behind the team.
Yeah, the crowds at Wembley are absolutely phenomenal.
The best in Europe.
So why don't we focus on that rather than the fact that
the best in Europe?
Shout loudly enough?
There's nowhere else in Europe where you get for a friendly a full 80,000 seat stadium. It just doesn't happen.
Agreed.
So it is great, but that's partly because the FA make it accessible to so many people, so you can bring your kids, so that you can get, and it's very difficult to get away. And last night, I think the Metropolitan line was down.
Yeah, that's another factor in the early departures.
I think that's why people left as well. But we were looking at it, we were looking at it as we were sitting there in the second half down, trying to find out whether or not it was the fact that people were leaving or whether they hadn't come back after half time or whatever. But we noticed it and we were like, well, what is the situation here? Because it's very difficult in the moment to sort of decide what's going on. And maybe Thomas Tuchel was just a little bit frustrated by that. What do you make of his comments after the game? 03717 2233 44. You're listening to Sam Matterface and Alex Crook, and we're live on talkSPORT. Hello everyone, you're listening to talkSPORT with Sam Matterface and Alex Crook. No Troy Deeney this morning, but he'll be back with us next week. Don't worry about it. I know we're missing him just as much as you are. 03717223344 is the number to call if you want to get involved in the debate generated by Thomas Tuchel's comments last night about the Wembley atmosphere. You can text us as well. It's 03717223344 on the WhatsApp, 81089 on the text. Alex is spot on. If you want families and children attending the games, that's fine, but you're not going to get a loud, boisterous atmosphere that Tuchel wants. I attended last night with my son, watched the first half, got our caps ready for the 2028 Euros and left at half time. Is that what he's trying to say, though? He's trying to get everybody out of that habit. Is there a way we can try and change things so that isn't the case? Because he wants everybody to buy in to the atmosphere. Guys, I listened to the radio. talkSPORT, obviously, it was flat, the atmosphere last night. When England scored, I thought it was really quiet. No noise at all, no cheering. I think Tuchel has a point. Love the show. Neil from Wakefield. Let's speak to Sue, who's an Everton fan. Hello, Sue.
Hi, Neil. Yeah, listen, it's not anybody's fault except the FA's, all this. What it is, the atmosphere last night, the stadium's half empty because it's too big. They should bring the football to the people. The likes of them games where it's just a friendly, there's no outcome from them. They should bring them to the Northwest, to the Midlands, bring them to the, stadiums in them places like the Dickinson Hill. All them places, they should bring them games to the people and not expect them to, in a midweek match to be travelling all the way to London, school in the morning, work the next day. It's just unfair. That's what they should do with them.
Do you know what? It's a great point in that to take the games out. And look, we've been obviously already this year. Yeah. We went up to Villa Park for the Andorra game, and we went to the City Ground in Nottingham. Yeah. And the atmosphere, certainly at the City Ground in Nottingham, was really good that night, especially before kickoff.
Yeah.
And
because they're not trying to fill a big stadium, and you won't get that atmosphere at that kind of game. You will in a qualifying game, of course you will. But not that kind of game. This is what they need to do. Give kids around the country a chance to see England as well.
Well, they have started to do that a little bit more. But Wembley is one of those where, it is necessarily the spiritual home of the England football team. That is their home ground.
Yeah, but you can ask, is that a bit outdated? I think Sue makes a brilliant point. I remember when Sven was in charge, I think it was, and because Wembley was being rebuilt at that time, they had no choice but to go on the road. I watched Southampton. David Seaman, I think, got lobbed in that game. Not the first or last time in his career, but
he didn't do a bad job, though, did he?
But the atmosphere was great. There were people, as Sue said, who maybe don't usually get the chance to watch England that were there. And Wembley is a nightmare to get away from. There's no question about that. I do take the kids, as I mentioned, but you always dread the journey home. You're going to get back home in the early hours of the morning, unless you leave early, as a lot of people did last night. And you have to ask the question, money they'd spent on the stadium. As I understand it, it's now paid for itself, Wembley. So I think the FA could maybe consider Sue's idea and take England back on the road.
You want as many people to be able to see it, and you want those cheaper ticket prices because you want to be able to take your kids.
Yeah, but there are certain games when if you know you're not necessarily going to sell out the stadium, then maybe there is an opportunity to take it elsewhere.
They did sell it out last night.
They sold it out because of the caps, etc., didn't they?
Once again, Alex Crook talking nonsense, says Graham, the Charlton fan. Only ultra-sensitive fans would take offence at Tuchel's comments. Crook's comments are far more likely to fan the embers of a minority of fans into a flame. If you think we should be focusing on that England performance, why are you whining about Tuchel's perfectly reasonable comments?
Because that's the narrative that's come out of the game. That was the big talking point. And I do think it detracted from what was a very good England performance.
I do think we should be speaking about Morgan Rogers and the way he performed last night, because he was terrific. Anthony Gordon's running as well down that left-hand side. He was relentless throughout the course. The fact that they played almost the same team as they did in Serbia and only changed the 4 players that couldn't be with the squad, I think is a good talking point, and carrying on that momentum is key as well. If Tuchel wants a crowd of people that want to be there, maybe consider the timings of the games. Not everyone lives in and around London, so travel on a Thursday with work at school and the cost of travel isn't great for everyone. Big Crookie is absolutely right. It's October. We're all skin. We're taking the kids to England games as Manchester United have tripled the ticket price. We enjoyed the game, but it is what it is. Tom's a Leeds fan. Hello.
Hello.
You all right? What do you want to say, pal?
I just think that, last night was a friendly. It was it was an international friendly. It didn't mean anything. It's good to have a home nations game, but I think Thomas Tuchel is just a very brave man. I think that he at this point in his England career, I would say that he should be getting liked. It's always good to be a liked manager, and we scored 3 goals very quickly, and he should have ended that game praising the players, praising everybody, saying how amazing we did, how everything was brilliant, how, that's how we're going to perform, look what I can do, all that stuff. And everyone would have got behind him. And I think making himself land in controversy this morning about comments, he chose to do that. Yeah. And I just think it's not what he needs to be doing. I think if fans want to make noise or not make noise, it's not really his job to...
But if he thinks that the lack of atmosphere is affecting the performance of the players, and he wants to try and create this big sort of momentum where the whole country is behind the team going into the World Cup, surely him asking for more, maybe you don't think he did it in the right way, but surely him asking for more is a positive thing, no?
You keep saying about it affecting performances. Where's the evidence of that? England are cruising through qualifying. They're yet to concede.
Well, the evidence was they didn't score in the second half, and the atmosphere went flat in the second half, and that's the whole point of the whole conversation.
It's a friendly. The players are always going to take their foot off the pedal because they're a bigger fish to fry. They've got Latvia next week. Wales obviously have got their big qualifier against Belgium.
It was a game that was always going to die in the second half because of that, I think.
And because of the number of changes. I think you said it, that both managers made all 6 substitutions in the second half. But... you look at when England really need their fans, away from home, at major tournaments, the England supporters do stand up and be counted. That's why I don't think he needed to say it at this moment in time.
Yeah, and I think his conversation was about Wembley. It wasn't necessarily about... And he said it a little bit at Villa Park as well. I don't know if you remember after the Andorra game. He mentioned it there because a lot of people left during the second half of that game as well. But I think he came into this job. He wanted this job. He's desperate for this job. We've spoken to him. We've sat down with him. He loves the Premier League. He loves being a part of English football, but he wants it to feel like a Premier League atmosphere.
It's not the same.
And it isn't the same. And he's slowly, I think, understanding that, but he's doing his best. I think he wants to try and make it that way.
You can't force it, though. You can't force that atmosphere.
You can't. But listen, he's the England manager. He's more versed in dealing with these situations than we are. I'm sure he's got a reason for doing it. 03717 2233 44 is the number to call. We'd love to hear from you. I took my son last night, says Liam. The problem is it's full of people who don't care about football. Then I had the bloke next to me on 30 minutes, and basically he just left because he was purely there for his stamp. 03717 2233 44. This is talkSPORT. Sam Matterface and Alex Crook. We're here till 1 o'clock. Thanks for joining us.
Well, the Villa man performed well again in England's comfortable 3-0 win over Wales. Thomas Tuchel has told talkSPORT what he brings to the team.
He has the physique to impose himself. He can run, he can score, he can assist. He's a very, very humble player, a top team player, and he fights for his shirt, for his place. And the question is, why not?
Well, you can hear England-Latvia live right here on talkSPORT. That one's on Tuesday night. Meanwhile, Ethan Ampadu says the defeat is bruising for Wales, but is confident they'll bounce back. Wales host a vital World Cup qualifier against Belgium on Monday. Now, Scotland's road to America looks a little more achievable following a 3-1 win against Greece. The performance was far from convincing, but Steve Clarke's men scored 3 goals without reply in the last half hour, having gone 1-0 down.
When the shackles came off, we just seemed to run half a yard faster. And that comes because of the determination within the group to make sure that it wasn't going to be another disappointing night here at Hampden.
And Anthony Taylor doesn't want his family to go to any more of his matches. The Premier League ref says following the Europa League final in 2023, his loved ones were pushed by fans and had a chair thrown at them.
You are listening to talkSPORT. Sam Matterface and Alex Crook. We're here till 1 o'clock. Thousands are lining the streets and the city centre of Greater Manchester today to honour the life of the great Ricky Hatton, an icon of the North West. talkSPORT news correspondent Nick Ellaby is following the procession and he joins us from Manchester now. Good morning, Nick.
Yeah, good morning, Sam. I've made my way to Manchester Cathedral, where the funeral service of Ricky Hatton will begin at midday. I've been in Hyde this morning, in Tameside, and the east side of Manchester, where Ricky grew up, and lots of people out in the streets ahead of that funeral cortege. At the moment, we understand that the funeral cortege is probably going to be somewhere near his gym where we were this morning. It started in G Cross at the Cheshire Cheese pub, one of Ricky's locals, which is very close to where he lived, and then it went past another 2 of his favourite pubs, one the Hare Hill Tavern in Hattersley, and then also the New Inn just round the corner from there, where white doves are being released, before it made its way past Ricky Hatton's gym, which was opened by Muhammad Ali in 2009. And when I was there this morning, I spoke to a number of people who were there to pay their respects, and this is what they told me. So, first of all, just tell me memories of Ricky from around here, and what was he like?
No, Ricky was a very active member of our community. So we used to see him around, and he was active in charities, particularly mental health charities, which I've got a vested interest, being of a mental health practitioner background. And also I met him a couple of times during Man City games. He'd come, greet people, chat with people, sign autographs. He was just like one of us. But you just see him in and around Hyde Centre anyway, sometimes walking, and here around the gym. So we will miss him dearly.
Ricky Hatton was the legend round it, especially around here. G Cross and all that jazz. But to watch him, it was fantastic.
And you watched a lot of his fights. What made Ricky such a special fighter?
Because he had heart in him, didn't he? The heart for not for himself, but for people.
I was lucky enough to spend a little bit of time with him, Nick, when we were working on a different TV show together. We talked a lot about his boxing career and just how much he sort of gains notoriety and attention for just being a man of the people. The one thing I will always remember about him is that he gave everybody time, and he was happy to indulge in conversation with so many different people. And I think the turnout that you'll get today will reflect that. You've got a lot of people there from a lot of different walks of life that were, touched by the presence of Ricky Hatton.
Absolutely. I mean, driving through the streets this morning, Sam, we saw people out with blue balloons. Ricky was a massive Manchester City fan, but he brought the red and the blue side of Manchester together. His fights turned into a kind of football atmosphere. There's only one Ricky Hatton. I'm sure those shouts will be ringing out in the streets of Manchester this morning. And also, he got Manchester United fans singing Blue Moon and renditions of that. Unbelievable to hear around his fights, and that funeral cortege going past those gyms, as I say, going past Better Bodies as well, where Ricky would train for his fights before making its way here to Manchester Cathedral. There's a private service for 1,000 people. I've seen Tony Bellew already here this morning, spoken to Ian Darke, the commentator who commentated on some of Ricky's biggest fights, including that incredible win in 2005 against Kostya Tszyu at the MEN Arena, now the AO Arena, where Ricky became light welterweight world champion for the first time. And Ian Darke was telling me, Ricky, he's up there with Dennis Law, with Sir Bobby Robson, with Alex Ferguson as a sporting icon of Manchester. And speaking to people here and in Hyde this morning as well, one guy in Hyde Market told me Ricky was 150% gentleman. A lot of people around there knew him. Another guy saying he's always in the village. And everyone's saying he's a man of the people, and I think that's how he'll be remembered, as a true sporting great that put Manchester on the world boxing map. I mean, before Ricky came along, Manchester wasn't really a big boxing centre, but after he had those world title fights, really put Manchester on the map. And I heard Alan Croller as well talking about, in the sort of 2010s, every kid in Manchester wanted to box like Ricky Hatton because of that footwork. They called him the Manchester Mexican, and those body shots as well. Adam Croller saying all the kids around here wanted to be Ricky Hatton, and huge tributes from all over the sporting world, and we're expecting many more today. And we know Adam Smith will be reading the eulogy, and Spencer Oliver attending the funeral. We'll speak to him after the service for talkSPORT as well.
Nick, what's the overriding emotion today? Is it one of sadness? Is it one of shock at what happened to Ricky? Or is this very much going to be a celebration of his life? Or I guess a combination of all three?
I think it's that combo, Alex. I think because he was only 46, so it's still quite raw. He's not been gone very long. I think one guy I spoke to this morning, he'd come up from Bristol to be in the streets today to pay his respects. He was, he did a bit of amateur boxing as a young man, but people telling me, they were inspired by Ricky as a fighter and also as a man. And I think people are still processing what's happened, but at the same time, I think they want to show his family and his friends how much he was loved. So there will be that, odd mix of shock, of sadness, but also of celebration of, one of, let's be honest, Great Britain's biggest sporting icon. So yeah, Alex, a strange mix of all of those.
Nick, thank you very much. And I know that we'll be revisiting you throughout the course of the day. That's Nick Ellaby, our talkSPORT News correspondent outside Manchester Cathedral, as Ricky Hatton is laid to rest today. And a website that has been created for the Ricky Hatton Foundation said the boxer was open and honest about his own struggles with mental health. His courage in speaking out about these challenges gave others strength to share their own battles. And according to the website, the charity's mission now includes raising awareness of mental health challenges, removing the stigma around mental illness, and offering direct support through talking therapies and community programs. The Ricky Hatton Foundation, well worth a visit, especially if you or someone you know is struggling with mental illness. This is talkSPORT. You're listening to Sam Matterface and Alex Crook. We'll be back in just a few moments with continuing to take your calls in reaction to the England game last night. Hello, very good morning wherever you are this morning. Thank you very much for choosing talkSPORT. It's Sam Matterface and Alex Crook with Selco Builders Warehouse. Check out this month's real deals at selcobw.com. There's so many people that want to talk about England, including Alex Crook, who's got his hand up, he's wagging it. Let me talk here. What do you want to say?
Yeah, just a message from a pal of mine, Nathan. He listens every week. He loves this show. He says UEFA actually gave us the opportunity to participate in meaningful games in the Nations League. Gareth Southgate even managed to get us relegated out of that under his tenure. Another, his lack of achievements. Only got ourselves to blame for the lack of competitive fixtures. As a big Gareth Southgate advocate, what would you say to that?
I think we said it before. We had this conversation about international football, and you've always moaned about the fact that the fixture list makes it boring. And I said to you, the reason that you've had meaningless games is because they didn't qualify for League A of the Nations League. They've got to be in League. England have to be in League A for this reason. One, revenue generation, making sure that they get the big crowds in for the big games. Two, because if you want to develop as a football team, you've got to be playing the best teams more regularly. And because of the fact that they were relegated to League B, and we've talked about this a lot, they didn't get to do that.
No.
And that cost them. It did cost them. That was a mistake. If you remember, there was sort of circumstances around it. All four of the 6 games in that Nations League campaign, if I remember rightly, all took place at the same time. One of them happened behind closed doors at Wolverhampton, if I remember rightly, in a summer after we'd had a World Cup.
They got battered, didn't they?
All kind of stuff. There was all sort of things that went against them in that period in particular as well. But you're absolutely right. They shouldn't be in League B, and that is one of the major problems. They will be in League A next time around because they got promoted from the previous Nations League campaign. But that is not until the start of next season. In fact, this time next year, we'll be on a 3-week international break.
I'll be in the Algarve, I'd imagine.
Bob is an England fan.
Good morning, Sam. Good morning, Alex. The whole Tuchel thing about the crowd and the atmosphere last night. Look, it's a bit of a mountain out of molehill. The game was done and dusted. It was done and dusted in 30 minutes. England were imperious, I thought. And I'll tell you what really is encouraging last night, watching the possession, the speed of the ball, the movement of the players. I thought Anthony Gordon was excellent. His turns, his twists, his creative ability for us. I thought it was just so pleasing to watch England on the front foot for so much of that game. And listen, what can you do when you're 3-0 up at half-time? You know, it's reflective. The score's reflective. Wales were a bang average team, but I thought we were absolutely outstanding.
Absolutely. And do you know what I thought was really interesting? I was lucky enough, privileged enough to be sitting really high up and being able to see the whole of the pitch. And you were watching the movement of the players, and there were so many off-the-ball runs. Morgan Rogers, Declan Rice bursting into the box and trying to break the lines. Sometimes those didn't come off. Sometimes people didn't spot them. Sometimes the ball wasn't released quick enough. So England can only get better. I think you're right about Wales. Really disappointed with the way they approached the game last night. Craig Bellamy, I thought, was excellent in the pre-match press conferences when he was turning around and saying, I don't want to defend deep. I don't want to sit on my own penalty area. You'll die a slow death if you do that against a team like England. But you have to have a little bit of pragmatism and a little bit of nous. And I just don't think that they pressed well enough in the first half. And I don't think they defended well enough either. Bob, obviously people listening to this will hear your voice and think, us? You've got a Scottish accent. Where are you from? What's the reason behind that?
Yeah, I can't really help, Sam, where I'm raised and brought up. I can't really help the accent. But one thing's for sure, massive England fan, always have been. I think as well, going back to sort of a bit of last night, we can do Wales a bit of disservice if we say that they were bang average, as I already said. But that's all down to how we started and how we moved in the game. We were strong in the press. The thing that really impressed me last night, as well as the quick movement of the ball, was how England suddenly clustered men around Wales when they had the ball.
Absolutely.
And there was many a time in the second half, especially in that right wing, that the Wales midfield pick it up. 3 England players around there, we turn the ball over, and then all of a sudden we've swept it out to the left again. And I thought, things are looking really positive for Thomas Tuchel and what he's doing with this team.
Brilliant call. Cheers, Bob. Thank you very much. Chuck's an Arsenal fan. Hi, Chuck.
Hi, so, how you doing?
Yeah, good. Thank you. What do you want to say?
Yeah, I think it was actually a good performance from the team. And like the previous callers, some of them have actually said we're actually focusing on the wrong thing. Tuchel is actually a winner, and he's a bold enough manager to actually speak out something like that. And he's one who doesn't take any prisoners, really. So if you're going to be actually a player, you're going to step up in your game. And I think it's refreshing to see a manager who's actually bold enough to make tough decisions, and who's also bold enough to actually, saying some statements that some people are not happy with. So I'm actually happy with it, and I think we've actually got a great chance. But at the same time, we've got to take caution, not get too excited about it, because it was only Wales. It was a friendly, and I think Wales actually had one eye on the Belgium game for Monday. So who knows if it was actually a qualifier? It could have maybe been a different game from last night. But overall, I think performance from most of the players was actually quite good. You could see the energy, and if we can actually maintain that energy in also the bigger games, and with Tuchel, with his experience in actually playing, managing in the top leagues and those top competitions as well, I think really he would know when to actually adapt to the style of play, to adapt when they're actually playing different opposition. So overall, I think it was good, but it's one game at a time.
Chuck, thank you very much. 03717 223344. Hi, Sam. I agree. Scotland have been much more competitive since playing in Nations League A. Just gives the team more experience at a much better level. Scotland aren't as good as England, but playing regularly at a better level can only help. Fraser in Scotland. We will talk about Scotland, by the way, last night. Not a great performance, but an absolutely outstanding result last night against Greece. Why should people in the Northwest even be bothered about England when England isn't bothered about us? If you live in the South, you can pop to Wembley, get a stamp and get a tournament ticket. In the North, it's a day's travel and 2 days off work. Lost interest in England now, says Sire Toon fan. No one wants these England games to be played. International breaks are hated by the majority of football fans. We all follow England in big competitions, but these friendlies are rubbish. Qualifying games are hated. Lee Cook, Royston in Hertfordshire. It's something that you sort of said to me last night when you were sort of texting saying, I can't be bothered with these games. They don't do anything for me. And I said to you, you talked about the tournaments and how much you love going to the tournaments. And I said, well, how do you expect them to get ready for the tournaments if they don't have any preparation games? They're not playing them to entertain you. They're playing them to prepare, to get ready for the tournament. And they sort of need a little bit of latitude, actually, to be able to prepare for the tournament.
Yeah, so therefore, if you know that and I know that, then Thomas Tuchel should know that and not feel the need to come out and criticise the match-going supporters.
He's not criticising, he's asking for more. He's asking for more.
Came across as criticism.
Well, maybe he did, and maybe it was not the right way of dealing with it, and maybe it was the right way of dealing with it. Maybe next time, when everyone gets together for the Serbia game, which might be the game which gets them over the line in terms of qualification, maybe that atmosphere will be absolutely banging, and it will be because we've had this debate now. Because everybody wants one thing, right? Whether you like the qualification games or the friendlies or not, what you want is England to win the World Cup in the summer, yeah? Right, everyone wants it.
Absolutely.
So whatever we all can do to try and make that happen, then we should. Sam, the country's always behind the team going into the World Cup. The atmosphere in the US is going to be rubbish, so no need to get used to it. I don't know what the atmosphere is going to be like in the US, because I'll tell you why. I hear so many different rumours. I don't know about you, about changes, kickoff time changes, venue changes, all sorts that's been muted over the course of the last month or so. I don't know what to expect. Do you?
No, I mean it's a very different tournament from the last World Cup in Qatar, which obviously was a Winter World Cup, but also everything was all in one place. I think the fact that there were so many horror stories about travelling to that part of the world put off a lot of England fans. I think you're going to get a bigger contingent in the States. I actually think the atmosphere might be quite good. I think a lot of England fans who maybe sat out Qatar will have been saving up for this tournament, and all will be revealed when the draw is made. But we're expecting England to be sort of in the New York, Miami area, aren't we? That's the suggestion. Well, that's what I've been told a couple of times, yeah, but let's see.
Can you fudge the draw like that?
Well, FIFA can do what they want, can't they?
I'm
Basically.
sure you can.
Well, let's see. Let's see. Come early December.
Are you telling us there's some sort of hot ball operation going on here so that England get an East Coast draw?
Well, no, I think surely logistically they're going to try and put nations into time zones that are going to be more beneficial.
No,
to
the
people
groups are
watching
in
at
time
home.
zones. So if you're in a group, you'll be in a certain strip, but you can't determine which team goes into which strip.
Well, let's see.
Wow, I think that's an exclusive. Aren't you going to the draw in Washington?
I am.
You were. I can't help but feel this is just another stick to beat Tuchel with, says Jimbo, the Chelsea fan in Maidstone. It's okay for Pep to moan about atmospheres at the Etihad, but Tuchel should be quiet. He's a passionate man. There's nothing more than that. I think that's fair, isn't it?
Yeah, I agree. And some of the complaints we've had about previous England managers, particularly Fabio Capello, the last foreign appointment, is that they didn't show that passion. You certainly can't accuse Thomas Tuchel of that. He's not one who's afraid to mince his words. And there are a lot of positives to that. I just think this was an unnecessary fight to pick with a minority probably of supporters who are not still on board with the appointment in the first place.
037 17 22 3344 if you want to get involved. Gary's there. Hello, Gary.
Hello there.
Hello, mate. What do you want to say?
What you're saying about the Wembley. It's an hard one because if you've ever been Wembley, it's a very hard place to leave. The transport system's not the greatest, so you're queuing for hours outside. If you've got a young family and you're coming from a distance, it's a nightmare to get home.
Hotels are stupidly expensive as well, aren't they?
Yeah, expensive. The hardcore fan don't drink in the ground, don't eat in the ground, they don't buy a scarf, programme, bits like that. So the FA's going to target families because a kid wants popcorn at half time, a scarf, programme, things like that. And also with a passion side of things, I think it's run into the clubs as well. Clubs are targeting more tourist trade, things like that. So I think really at the moment it's a social thing, the passion thing, and I think it's running into football.
So maybe we need an overall campaign to restore that passion to every ground, not just Wembley, not just England. Maybe it's something that we should have at the forefront of our mind.
I think so. We keep on hearing about when we go away to the Champions League or different areas in Europe about how passionate they are, how they ramp up the passion and the noise at their grounds. What is the difference between us and them?
Good point.
Why is that happening?
I will say this though, Gary. There's a lot of teams, and Arsenal actually were were behind this. The Ashburton army behind the goal, trying to up their atmosphere. Crystal Palace have got a group that have done a lot of work to get their atmosphere enhanced behind the goal at the White Horse Road end. You've got Manchester United now, where they are like, no tifos, but we're doing proper old school flags every game in the Stretford end. We're getting a proper section there. We've got different way of coming out, and they play Country Road just before the start of every game now. Everyone's making a little bit of effort. I feel like that in the Premier League. So maybe England need to just think about how they do it as well.
Without being too controversial, can I suggest that actually I'm not a massive fan of Wembley in general. The old Wembley, I think there's a lot of nostalgia that goes with it. But
how many times did you go to the old Wembley?
Enough to know that it wasn't a particularly comfortable arena. Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm saying.
It was a nightmare.
But, the new Wembley obviously is a much better facility. It's a much more comfortable experience, but it's rubbish to get to. There's not enough infrastructure in terms of bars and restaurants. I mean, it's better than it used to be. But I remember when the cup finals were moved to Cardiff, and I much preferred that as a spectator experience. The city was split in half between the two teams. There were loads of places to go and meet up before the game. That isn't the case at Wembley.
It is difficult to get away from. There's no doubt about that. 03717 2233 44. We don't have Troy Deeney with us today, which is a sad thing. But in the next hour of the programme, we will have $1 Million Minto.
talkSPORT Sports Update, powered by the Nissan Van Range. Commercial vehicles that go the distance for your business. Search Nissan Vans or head to your local Nissan Van Centre.
With your latest sport headlines, I'm Matt Hutchinson. Thousands have gathered in Manchester to pay their respects to Ricky Hatton. Well, the boxing legend died at his home in Hyde at the age of 46 last month. We've been speaking to people at his funeral procession.
Two-weight world champion, never changed. He was always the same person that he always were.
Just a massive character. Absolutely. I mean, if you don't follow boxing, you know the name Ricky Hatton.
Yes, he was a lovely man, just down to earth. And it just shows with everybody here how many people loved him.
Well, the procession is making its way from Hatton's local pub to Manchester Cathedral, where a private funeral starts at around midday. Now, at the start of the season, Bellingham, Foden, Palmer and Grealish were assumed to be the main candidates for England's number 10 shirt. But not many fans had Morgan Rogers down to fill that position. The Villa man performed well again last night, and Thomas Tuchel has told talkSPORT what he brings to the team.
He has the physique to impose himself. He can run, he can score, he can assist. He's a very, very humble player, a top team player, and he fights for his shirt, for his place. And the question is, why not?
You can hear England-Latvia live on Tuesday night, of course, right here on talkSPORT. North of the border, Scotland's road to America looks a little more achievable following a 3-1 win against Greece. The performance was far from convincing, but Steve Clarke's men scored 3 goals without reply in the second half, having gone 1-0 down.
When the shackles came off, we just seemed to run half a yard faster, and that comes because of the determination within the group to make sure that it wasn't going to be another disappointing night here at Hampden.
Well, it was Clarke's record-equalling 71st game as Scotland boss. And Anthony Taylor doesn't want his family to go to any more of his high-profile games. The Premier League ref says following the Europa League final in 2023, his loved ones were pushed by fans and had a chair thrown at them.
talkSPORT News.
Israel's confirmed the Gaza ceasefire has officially started, and French police have used pepper spray to stop migrants reaching a small boat bound for the UK this morning. More from the news team at past.
talkSPORT weather with QuickFit. Buy 2 or more Bridgestone Turanza all-season 6 tyres and claim Bridgestone's massive 20,000 mileage guarantee. Visit quickfit.com and book today. Conditions apply.
We're expecting a dry Friday for most of the UK, with plenty of sunny spells in the north and the west.
Hello, very good morning to you. It's Sam Matterface and Alex Crook, and we're here right the way through till 1 o'clock this afternoon. I'm delighted to say that in the absence of Troy Deeney, we have got $1 Million Minto. He's here, Scott Minto, former Benfica, Chelsea, Rotherham, West Ham United, Charlton. Have I missed anybody out left back?
I think you've got the 5.
I did it all? Well done.
So.
Fantastic. See, look at that. I know you so well.
You know me very well. Not as well as you know Crookie, obviously. I was listening on the way in.
You heard that?
And yeah.
He didn't defend himself, by the way, did he? I thought he was going to come up with some story of how...
I had a fantastic night's sleep.
Do you know what? He looks like a snorer. If anyone can look like a snorer. You say, is he a snorer? 100%.
The wife has bought me these sort of strips that I've got to wear on my nose.
Robbie Fowler ones.
Yeah, I've not tried it. Maybe next time we share a room, I'll bring those.
And listen, I know I can't replace Troy Deeney as well, but I do know that he brings in some donuts. So I've got half a dozen donuts. Is it dangerous to put them right by?
Have you got a Biscoff one?
I've got a Biscoff.
There is a Biscoff. He has to have that one.
Is that a bit? I do like a Biscoff, but I'll caramel just in case I get tempted.
Right, okay, talking about giving people a little bit of toffee, the Manchester United fans certainly got a little bit excited when Saudi tycoon and boxing promoter Turki Al-Sheikh sent United fans into a little bit of a frenzy by claiming on social media that the Red Devils were close to being under new ownership. Obviously, there's been a lot of discussion about this in the 24 hours or so since, with the valuation of the club being touted at around about £5 billion. Let's get the latest by speaking to our football finance expert, Kieran Maguire, who joins us. Always good when he comes on the show. Hello, Kieran.
Hi, Sam.
Thank you very much for joining us this morning. This Glazer valuation of Manchester United, is it realistic?
It's certainly not realistic as far as the market is concerned. We saw the Manchester United share price go up about 2% in the last 24, 48 hours, and that values the club at probably around about 3.2 billion. So a long way short of the 5 billion. I think if the market was confident that there was going to be an offer, then there would be a substantial premium. There would be a very significant uptick in terms of the price. And we saw that when Sir Jim Ratcliffe was first involved a couple of years ago, and the share price has fallen substantially since then. So I think people are quite sceptical. But it would take a lot of money, but I don't think the market seem to think that there's a genuine bid in the offing at present.
So what is this all about? Where has it all come from? And is this just a play by the Glazers to smoke out Sir Jim Ratcliffe into buying the whole thing?
Well, I mean, certainly Sir Jim has the ability to buy under the current deal. It would be very expensive for him. I think then you would be looking at a 5 billion price because it would be linked to the initial price that he paid when he acquired sort of the 27% a few years ago. And that was at a price of around about $32 a share. That's far higher than what we're at present. We're about 16, 17. So I think if there were discussions between the Glazers and Ratcliffe, they would be done in quiet, and you wouldn't be using to use Turki Al-Sheikh as a stalking horse. It'll be a very strange strategy. The Glazers like Ineos and they like Jim Ratcliffe because it's allowed them to put through all of the decisions which if they tried to attempt in their own rights, sacking all the staff, putting up the prices so much, there would have been a lot of dissent in Manchester. Whereas I think the Ratcliffe element or the Ratcliffe part of the ownership has been able to generate sort of a more compliant approach from the Manchester United fan base.
Yeah, I've been trying to say this over and over again to you. No, do not forget that for 20 years, the Glazers have basically used this club like a cash machine.
Yeah.
Don't forget that.
Believe me.
The situation that you're in now, your situation is down to that.
Yeah.
And Jim Ratcliffe cannot take all of the can for it.
No, absolutely. I think there was a big pushback when he first came in and was willing to work with the Glazers, and actually gave an interview this week, and again he described the Glazer family as, quotes, nice people.
He's not allowed to say anything. It's in the contract. He's not allowed to criticise them. Yeah. That is part of the ownership.
He could just not talk about them. That might be a better PR move. But in terms of Ratcliffe, what intrigues me about all this, Kieran, is that when we approached Manchester United directly yesterday, they were denying any knowledge of any potential takeover. We're told that the group being referenced in this story are from the UAE, that maybe they're sounding out ex-United legends to get involved as well. And there is a scenario, isn't there, where the Glazers can effectively agree a deal for the football club, and then there's a clause in the contract with Sir Jim Ratcliffe that he has the opportunity to either match that deal or they can force him to sell his shares.
That's right. It's not dissimilar to some of the deals we see in terms of player transfers, where you do effectively get a buyback or a buy-on clause. If a big bid comes in, then Ratcliffe and Ineos do have the opportunity to match it. If you take a look at the finances of Ineos themselves, though, that they've got a lot to deal with. There's substantial debt. There's a lot of challenges running the business. It's not a particularly good trading environment for the petrochemical side of things as well. So whether they'd like to get sidelined in terms of a price would be in the region of 4 to 5 billion. There's no doubt about that in order to get the Glazers to sell. And then there's the ongoing issue. There's been a lot of talk about further developments at New Old Trafford, for want of a better phrase, and the asking price there is probably, you're not going to get much change of 2 billion. It all then becomes very, very expensive. Manchester United have sounded out, to be fair to them. They have sounded out fans in terms of potential season ticket prices and personal seat licenses and all of these complications. Not many prices are going down.
Can I ask you how long you think the ownership can operate on the belief that United's commercial value and its ability to generate so much revenue, which is one of the reasons why the Glazers have been so happy to be sitting there in the background just taking stick for so long, can be almost immune to on-field failure? Because it's, 12 years since they last won the Premier League. It will be 13. So how long can that go on?
I think Manchester United is a brand which is immune to practically everything. We saw in the case of Liverpool, it took them, 26, 27 years to win the Premier League, and yet Liverpool's commercial revenue grew all the time. The owners were able to expand Anfield on an ongoing basis because there is this allure, there is a magic and a mystery about clubs such as Manchester United and Liverpool, which attracts interest from all over the world. Manchester United state in their accounts every year, we've got 1.1 billion followers. Even if you lost 10% of them, you've still got 1 billion followers. You've got people desperate to get to Old Trafford, desperate to buy the merchandise. So I don't see it as being a problem. I think it's more of an issue of, can they expand the club as fast as some of its competitors are growing? We've seen Manchester City with the new Puma deal, with a potential new deal with Etihad as well, which is going to boost their commercial income. Arsenal are doing very well. Chelsea are doing very well, despite not having a front of shirt sponsor and so on.
In which case, it's not a matter of being too expensive. No matter what you pay for it, you're always going to get a return on your investment. If they're always going to be immune to whatever happens on the field, doesn't really matter, then actually whatever you plough into this football club in order to own it, it means that it will always generate you revenue in the long term. So you might as well put your money into a new big stadium and get things moving quickly so you can start to reap the benefits earlier.
Yes, I mean, the quicker we have a resolution to the stadium issue, the better from an investment point of view. There are issues to resolve, I think, in terms of how it's going to be funded. Are they going to have to borrow? Are the owners putting money in? If it was Middle Eastern money, does that give them the opportunity to obtain alternative streams of funding, which would be beneficial, because they won't be able to borrow at the same rate as Spurs. Spurs did an absolutely amazing deal where they borrowed money at 2.5%, repayable in about 20 years' time. So Spurs are reaping the rewards there, and I suspect Ineos are quite envious of what they've seen, but they wouldn't be able to get those rates. It's more likely 6 to 7%.
Top man, Kieran, thank you very much for coming on the programme. That's Kieran Maguire, football finance expert, podcaster, all-round top bloke, joining us to talk about Manchester United. I suppose the other discussion point has got to be the co-owners' public backing this week of Ruben Amorim. You giggle. He said he's a nice bloke and he deserves 3 years to prove himself.
He won't get it if results don't improve. I think it'd be fanciful to suggest that Manchester United can keep backing a manager who never puts together back-to-back victories. Obviously got a big win against Sunderland. Need to follow up now. Difficult run of fixtures after the international break starting at Liverpool. Of course, Jim Ratcliffe is going to come out and back his man. He has to do that. But I think Ruben Amorim would be naive in the extreme to think he's going to get a 3 pass for 2 more years.
It's the chairman's vote of confidence, isn't it? The dreaded vote of confidence. I mean, when you listen to the interview, first of all, he didn't actually answer the question whether he was 100% behind him or not. And then when he was pushed, he said, for the 3 years, you need 3 years to judge someone. Well, yeah, in an ideal world, you would. It's not an ideal world for football managers right now in terms of longevity. So Manchester United cannot just keep on winning, losing, and finishing in the bottom half of the Premier League. So I personally think he will last to the end of the season. I personally think Thomas Tuchel will take over. We'll see what happens, whether that's the case or not.
You said that on our podcast the other day, didn't you?
I did. I did.
Is that inside knowledge or a hunch?
Yeah, well, Tommy said to me, no. From what it's a hunch. But from what I'm hearing, he's not really particularly enjoying the sort of England job. We'll have to wait and see if he wins the World Cup.
Where'd you get that from? Because when we've sat down with him, and he is nothing but excited about it.
Well, he knows how to play the game for sure. For the record, I'm a fan of Thomas Tuchel. I thought what he did at Chelsea was brilliant. And I wasn't unhappy about him being the England manager. I would have preferred Eddie Howe, but I'm absolutely fine.
Do you think Eddie Howe would have come out and criticised the England fans last night?
No, I don't.
And do you think that maybe then, bearing in mind the information that you seem to have here, that's a play on his behalf?
No, I don't think it's a play. I think it's just him being him. I think he is what he is, and he's a very forthright, very believing in himself, and rightly so, because he is, one of the top managers in the world. So I've got no beef to grind at all with Thomas Tuchel. I just don't think he particularly enjoys the get together for a few weeks and then not have it for a few months or a month or so. I think he's probably been a little bit surprised by what it's like to be England manager.
Do you think he doesn't like the lack of quality as well in terms of opponents? This is a manager who's used to winning Champions League, testing himself against the best. Is it going to give him the same fire in his belly playing Wales in a friendly or Latvia away from home?
I think he realises it's a means to an end. And I was listening to you on the way up, and I think absolutely if there's a way to try and find more quality opposition, whether it's friendlies, I don't know how you can do it in competition, but the Nations League has certainly tried to do that, then that would be better. But he knows it's all about, he's going to be judged, like any England manager, he's going to be judged on major tournaments.
He's been judged on 2-3 games at World Cup. That is what it is.
Because even there, we were looking at the
groups
groups earlier. They're going to cruise through the group unless they get a very unlucky draw. So
even Crook could be England manager and get us through to the quarters.
He thinks he is.
But his tenure, you're right, is going to be judged probably on 2 games in the knockout stage.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's why, bringing it back to Manchester United and what Sir Jim said, I think it was one of those where he didn't back him 100% initially, which I think told me a lot. And then he said about the 3 years, which in an ideal world, yes, but I don't. I'm with Crookie. And if this carries on, he can't get 3 years.
Also, this is the same Sir Jim Ratcliffe who came out and publicly backed Eric Ten Hag, gave him a new contract, sacked him, told us Dan Ashworth was the best in class for the role of sporting director, spent a lot of money, several months getting him to Old Trafford, sacked him. So actually, if you're Ruben Amorim, maybe you'd be more concerned that he's come out and backed him than if he'd said, actually, he's under pressure.
Troy's not here, so you've got no excuse for ill-disciplined. You're late and you've been waffling on. We've got to go. When we come back in the next few minutes, we'll be talking a little bit more about World Cups because Crookie just mentioned how many teams are involved, 48 this time around. But Gianni Infantino has sort of suggested we might move them as well. Oh, great. We'll talk about that next. It's talkSPORT, it's Sam Matterface, it's Alex Crook, and it's $1 Million Minto. Scott Minto, the FA Cup winner from 1997. He does not have a tattoo of the FA Cup. He just carries his medal around in his pocket. It's talkSPORT with Sam Matterface and Alex Crook, and we're with Selco Builders Warehouse. Check out this month's real deals at selcobw.com. Loving the show as always, guys, says Craig in Coatbridge. But Crookie, have you or Scott thrown one of those donuts at Sam and hit him on the shoulder?
I did wonder if you've been painting and decorating this morning, to be honest. I've missed the wall.
This is because I'm wearing a white top and it's got a blue emblem on the left shoulder. This is top quality gear.
There was a blueberry muffin, not a donut. It looks nice.
Is it meant to be a tree?
Anyway, you can.
I've not seen many blue trees.
I'm surprised Crookie hasn't
on
got
our connected TV app, or you can watch us on YouTube, and you can see the splurge on my shoulder. This is the problem with the media, and Crookie mainly, says Jay.
Mainly, yeah.
Newcastle fan. England just blasting everyone away, and all you want to do is talk about the negativity. He is negative, by the way, Jay. He is. And you know, this is a proof that he is negative. Do you know what he's just said to me, Jay? Do you know what he's just said? He's great mate of 25 years. Do you know what he's just said to me, Jay? He has said to me that you were doing a half marathon on Sunday, Sam, but I ain't going to sponsor you until after you finished it because you've got a dodgy hamstring and I don't trust it.
That's outrageous.
That's negative.
That's outrageous.
That's negative. That's what he's like.
You brought him into your bed.
I know. And this is what he does.
This is the same guy who pulled out a charity football match on the day because he had a slightly tight hamstring and then had to watch in the dugout as I scored at Fratton Park.
So if he does pull out the day before, can you fill in for him in the half marathon?
He still owes me 500 quid, right, by the way, because I bet him he couldn't run the Great South Run in 1 hour 35 minutes, and he said, I bet you any money I can. He gave it the Billy Biggin in a pub in front of loads of people. I went 500 quid. He went, okay, and then didn't do the race, has never mentioned it ever since, and has never paid up. And it's actually in my diary, and this has been for 5 years, as Welch's weekend, and it's actually coming up in a couple of weeks.
I bet he wouldn't do 400 metres in an hour and a half.
Still waiting for my money, by the way.
1 hour, 18 minutes. I once ran the Great South Run.
That was 20
It was 18
years
at the time.
2005.
Right, okay. Could Summer World Cup soon be a thing of the past? Should tradition stand in the way of progress of globalisation? The FIFA president, Gianni Infantino, has suggested that the international calendar should be changed to allow World Cups to be played regularly in the winter. The tournament has traditionally been contested in the Northern Hemisphere's summer months, despite the 2022 World Cup being in Qatar. The 2034 tournament is going to be in Saudi Arabia. And basically what he said to the European Football Clubs Assembly in Rome was that talks were underway about changing the calendar, the international football calendar. Now, they've changed it already, and I mentioned this earlier on. They've changed it for the next 4 years. It is going to the October and September breaks are going. Right, it's just going to be one break, 3 weeks, 4 games. It means there's an extra week for club football, basically, because there is a squeeze on club football. The international calendar has come together and said we'll have a 3-week break where you can have 4 games in that, and then you get an extra week back for you.
That's UEFA and FIFA,
That's everyone. That's the whole world, right? So what he said is that June is not great in Europe because it's hot. It's not great in other countries because it's hot. Basically, the best time to play around the world is October or March. October or March are temperate conditions all over the world, and everybody's playing their football because, as you know, England don't play during June. You know, we're usually off by then. In October and March, we're all playing. If it's in December, Norway's finished, for example. I'm just giving examples of different seasons that end. But everyone's playing in October and March, and the conditions ally. What do you make of it?
Mixed, I think, because as you were joking off air, I am a bit of a traditionalist that the World Cup, the European Championships should be held in the summer. We all enjoy them in the summer, but I'd be...
Just give the reason why you enjoy it in the summer.
Well, I think it's
in the break.
I think it's part of it for England fans and obviously other European fans that you gather in pubs, in beer gardens. It's a great time to watch football. However...
You can't do that in March.
I would be a hypocrite to say I'm totally against the idea of Winter World Cup, for example, because we were in Qatar. I think we were all a little bit dubious going out there about how it would work, about the choice of location. It was fantastic. It was a great experience for those of us who were there. The football was terrific because I think it was mid-season. Players were at the peak of physical fitness. You compare that to the last European Championships. Was it good for people at home, though?
Was it good for the pubs and the clubs
Probably
at home?
Not.
Did we pack out as many different venues, and did we have as many people drinking in pub gardens during that period?
Probably not. You're not going to get as many people drinking in pub gardens in December as you are in June.
No, but
and
you
July,
are going to have
clearly.
big events, right? Scott did loads of events, if I remember
I did
rightly.
for talkSPORT, yeah. There was Fan Zone and around Waterloo, and they were brilliant. They were absolutely fantastic. And look, I'm like Crookie to a point. You know, tradition, why change things unless there's a really good reason for it? But actually, whether you like the Qatar or the World Cup being in Qatar or not, for whatever reason, I don't think anyone can argue that was arguably the best World Cup, well, probably in my lifetime. I can't remember there being a better World Cup.
Well, certainly, I can't even begin to imagine that there'll ever be a better World Cup final than that.
No, the final itself, but the final itself, normally finals are, because there's so much pressure on it, and you can talk about, you know, a Carabao Cup final, an FA Cup final, the Championship playoff final. Sometimes they can always just be, there's too much pressure. That was just an incredible, in the biggest game there is to offer, the world has. But actually, just the storylines behind everything else before that. Remember, Argentina lost the first game to Saudi Arabia, and the pressure going into that second game with Mexico, the atmosphere they had between those two countries as well, Morocco going as far as they did. It was just, everything about it was brilliant. So I think that was the reason, because they were in peak physical condition.
OK, if you want to have your say on that, we might get some calls and texts about the possibility of changing the international calendar and putting World Cups in October or in March. How would you feel about that? Are you a stickler for tradition, or do you think it would be better for England's level of competitiveness? 0371 722 3344.
Bellingham, Foden, Palmer, Grealish, all players assumed to be competing for England's number 10 shirt at the start of this season. But not many fans would have had Morgan Rogers down to fill that shirt. Will the Villa man perform well again in England's comfortable 3-0 win over Wales? Thomas Tuchel has told talkSPORT what he brings to the team.
He has the physique to impose himself. He can run, he can score, he can assist. He's a very, very humble player, a top team player. And he fights for his shirt, for his place. And the question is, why not?
Well, you can hear England-Latvia live right here on talkSPORT. That one's on Tuesday night. Meanwhile, Ethan Ampadu says the defeat is bruising for Wales, but is confident they'll bounce back. Wales host a vital World Cup qualifier against Belgium on Monday. Now, Scotland's road to America looks a little more achievable following a 3-1 win against Greece. The performance was far from convincing, but Steve Clarke's men scored 3 goals without reply in the last half hour, having gone 1-0 down.
When the shackles came off, we just seemed to run half a yard faster. And that comes because of the determination within the group to make sure that it wasn't going to be another disappointing night here at Hampden.
And Anthony Taylor doesn't want his family to go to any more of his matches. The Premier League ref says following the Europa League final in 2023, his loved ones were pushed by fans and had a chair thrown at them.
Hello, good morning to you. It's talkSPORT with Sam Matterface, Alex Crook and Scott Minto. Today, let's get the latest odds, all thanks to BetMGM.
It's showtime on talkSPORT with BetMGM. Get ready for the golden era of sports betting. Visit betmgm.co.uk or download the app. 18+gambleaware.org.
And I'm delighted to say that we're joined by our good friend Dan Towles from BetMGM to look at today's top sporting events and discuss the latest odds. Hi, Dan.
Morning, Sam. How are you?
Yes, very good. Thank you. Did you enjoy last night?
Last night I did. Yes, I did. Yeah, excellent commentary as always, Matterface.
You're very kind. You're very kind.
It was very good, but yeah, it was all over and done in 20 minutes, wasn't it? It was. So after maybe a couple of slightly underwhelming games during Mr. Tuchel's reign, which included the narrow wins over Andorra, and let's not forget the loss to Senegal in the summer. But the last 2 matches, maybe there's a little bit of momentum going into Latvia on Tuesday.
Has that changed the betting odds and the way that we view the possibility of England winning the World Cup? Have they shortened up as a result of those 2 results?
Oh, really? Still around the 6.5 mark to win the World Cup behind favourite Spain, who are 4-1. Personally, I think that's too skinny for both teams. Given the record of European teams who won World Cups outside of Europe, I think that might be. We'll have to wait and see as we get close to the top.
But also, Dan, we have to factor in it's a slightly different landscape because of the 3 different countries, because of the 48 teams in the tournament, because we don't know the draw yet. It is very difficult to sort of to find value at this stage and to have an educated guess.
Well, Crookie seemed to know where we were playing already before the draw's taken place. So
I noticed that.
I'm always one step ahead, mate. You know that. Just like in that free bar in Windsor last week.
Yeah, well, Sam was trying to get a train home back to the northwest.
It only took me 10 hours, and when I left at 2:30, and when I got home around about 11 o'clock, you two were still in the bar.
Yes, we were. Yeah, no, we were just catching up on the show and critiquing all the things that went well and the things that didn't go so well.
It's called a debrief.
It was called a debrief. Yeah, exactly. So
it's 3 times longer than the actual show.
But yeah, no. So England's odds are not really changed. You said there's lots of variance to happen. We've got to wait for the draw, etc. But let's not forget Scotland, who 3 shots on target and 3 goals saw off Greece. They sit second in the table behind Denmark, who dismantled Belarus, and a certain Rasmus Højlund getting on the score sheet twice. Steve Clarke's men, they host Belarus on Sunday. They are 1-7 to beat the visitors. But so assuming they've got no slip-ups, then November matches versus Greece away. And then what could be the decider who heads to North America automatically when Denmark visit Hampden on the 18th of November.
I mean, crikey, did that goalkeeper give them a helping hand last night, though. I mean, listen, they fair play to them, and I'm really pleased for Steve Clarke and for Scotland because it's given them a great chance of going to the World Cup, which wasn't looking likely until yesterday. But that goalkeeper right at the end, what on earth was he doing?
Yeah, I'm sure he doesn't want to see that one back, does he? But then, look, despite that result and despite it looking good for Scotland, Denmark's still the 4-5 favourites to win the group, with Scotland at 23-10. And for any patriotic Scots out there, they're 501-1 to win it next year.
You never know. We made some Premier League predictions at the start of the year. What's the current state of play?
Yeah, middle of August, we thought we'd have a bit of fun and give you, Crookie and Troy, the opportunity to try and win some money for our chosen charity, Prostate Cancer, with some pre-season predictions. And to be honest, given performance to date in golden goals, I'm glad we did. 0 out of 3 again last week. So essentially, all started with £500, and you had to predict the end of season league position for Chelsea, Man United, and Brighton. And for every position you're out, come the end of May, you lose £50.
Oh, I didn't remember that. I didn't remember that. By the way, the golden goals thing last week, I was actually closest again, wasn't I?
What games did you have last week?
I have Chelsea-Liverpool, and I said
Oh, you did. Yeah,
2-2, and it was 2-1. It's pretty close. It was a draw up until
apart from the fact you got the wrong result. Yeah,
last minute of stoppage time. It was close.
Yeah, apart from the wrong result, you were spot on.
Yeah. It's better than your 0-0 Newcastle-Arsenal shout the other week.
That was 1-1 until stoppage time. It was a lot closer to getting the right result than you were.
How? How is that closer?
Anyway, move on.
Go on. Anyway,
Right.
go on. How bad have we been with guess the position?
It's early days, but we're having a quick check-in. It's only 7 games, so it's not a disaster, Sam, for you or Troy. You're in and around. So, Sam, you went for 4th place finish for Chelsea. Currently sat in 7th, only 3 points off 4th place. So you're at 350. Troy went for an 9th place finish for Brighton, and like you, he's not miles away. Only 3 places difference, but only 2 points off Sunderland, who are in 9th. So he's at 350. Then there's Alex Crook. Who sat here to tell us how impressed he'd been with Man United in pre-season, how he'd seen more energy, more press, and how Mr. Amorim started to implement a plan and was so confident that he went for a 5th place finish. Man United are currently in 10th.
That's 5 places. That's not a disaster. 4 points off top 4.
But that's also 50%, like I said, the prize fund you were given at the start of the campaign. So you're on £250. So we've got £950 out of possible £1,500 at the moment, and we'll have another check-in just before Christmas.
Okay, thank you very much. Well, Grand Prix of Darts. What's happening with that?
Yeah, Luke Littler did Luke Littler things, didn't he, last night? And he got rid of champion Mike De Decker, which included a 170 checkout to win the match 3-0. He now faces Gerwyn Price in the quarterfinals tonight. Littler's won the last 5 times the two players have met. As such, he's the 4-9 favourite to get past the Welshman, who's 7-4. World number 1, Luke Humphries, faces Cameron Menzies, currently number 32 in the world. But he did see off Rob Cross in the last round. Despite that, he is bigger than 2-1 to cause a bit of a shock. Humphries, the 1-4 favourite. Lots of darts to go before Sunday's final, but based on the draw, you'd be a brave person to bet against the Littler-Humphries final, with both of them dominating the top of the market. Littler, the 6-5 favourite, and then before we know it, it'll be the world champs, and then the Premier League returns in February.
We're looking forward to it. And Crookie, do you think that Dan has taken on board the feedback that we gave him last week about, because he turned up in the box and he looks really smart and he did his hair and stuff like that? He's done it again today. He's done the old sort of sweep over thing. I've been impressed.
He's made the effort. I still think if we got Mrs. Taus on the betting section, it'd be more entertaining. She was the star of the show last weekend. Absolutely sensational.
She was brilliant. She didn't know who he was, but she was good.
We're Facebook friends now as well, Dan. By the way,
I've heard she was very complimentary of the three of you, and I couldn't believe that she was so complimentary of the three of you. I wondered if she was talking about the right people, but the most awkward moment was when she turned around to Joel Ward and asked what he did for a job, and I was like,
he said, "Did he say I'm between jobs at the moment?"
Yeah, he did.
Don't worry, Dan. Mrs. Crook knows more about football than Mr. Crook does as well. So
there's a podcast here. There's a podcast.
Dan, thank you very much. Appreciate that. That was a look at the latest odds, all thanks to BetMGM. Visit betmgm.co.uk or download the app. 18+, begambleaware.org.
It's showtime on talkSPORT with BetMGM. Get things golden with responsible play at betmgm.co.uk. 18+, gambleaware.org.
I think it was 2 weeks ago when we were discussing what was going to happen in that Blackburn Rovers Ipswich Town Championship fixture, the rearranged game that was called off with 10 minutes remaining because of bad weather. It's going to be replayed in full at Ewood Park on Tuesday, December the 2nd, kickoff 7:45. In agreement with Ipswich Town, Blackburn Rovers are offering half-price match tickets to those supporters who purchased a match ticket for the original fixture. Season ticket holders and seasonal hospitality guests won't have to pay any additional cost and will have access to the game. Should the clubs have done a little bit more and let them in for free, or is this a pretty generous arrangement? What do we think?
I remember listening to the show and I sent you a text. I didn't know you were going to read it out about when I was at Benfica. A similar thing happened.
Oh, you did, yeah.
And apologies, Crooker, you might have to fall asleep for the next 25 seconds again. I know you said that, but...
Oh, yeah, because you two both had a go at Minto.
Yes, they did. They did, yeah. But anyway...
No, just tell us again, because it was so good first time. Right?
Yeah, I will. There's your pillow. Look, in Portugal, it doesn't matter how long's left. You go again from wherever the time it was stopped. So we stopped after 15 minutes and we had to play the other 75 minutes the next day. I think there's been a game in the late 90s where Sporting, and it's ridiculous really, but had 2 minutes left and went back for 2 minutes. But my point is, what's the fairest thing? I don't think it's fair to replay again. I think it's fair to Blackburn.
No.
I don't think it's fair to Ipswich to say it was only 1-0 and yes, they were 10 men, but... You know, the game's 3 points go to you, unless it's in the rules if it gets to 75 minutes and everyone's agreed to it. I think the fairest thing is to play from the moment it was stopped.
Yep. I'm all over
in my opinion. But in terms of the answer to your question...
It doesn't happen often enough for it to be like a major thing. It just needs to be actually go and finish the game.
When was the last time it happened?
Well,
so it's
we
very
had an
rare.
incident of the England women's under-19s team having to come back the next day and take 5 days later actually, and take a penalty and then win the game, and that was it.
It's almost like what's the least unfair option? You know, because there's nothing that's perfect. There's no perfect solution here. But in terms of your answer... no, why is it not completely free? If you proved you paid for the ticket and you were there, I don't care whether your hospitality or season
there is a
ticket
cost incurred here to Blackburn Rovers as well, by the way, because they've already had to staff one event.
Are they not insured for abandonment?
I don't know.
There's a clause there. I say that because I went to Portsmouth Millwall last season, if you remember. I was in hospitality. And the power went off just before kickoff.
There's a shock. He
was in hospitality and doing match reports.
But very generously, to be fair, we'd already had the meal, so we'd had the hospitality. We just didn't get the football match.
Was that the game where you went pitch side as well, and you even had some photos? I was working in the press bit, and you were actually doing hospitality and allegedly working.
But my point is, they invited us back, and we got the meal again. So we got the hospitality element again, even though we'd already had it once, for free.
Were they insured?
I'd imagine so, yeah.
Oh, you don't know. You were trying to tell us a story about an insurance.
I think they'll be covered.
But
I think Blackburn will be as well.
If they're not, it's even more unfair to Blackburn. They're 1-0 up. They had the extra guy. It was 15 minutes to go. They've got to replay it, and they've got to cover costs. We talk about fair. How's that fair?
No, well, listen, I as I said right at the start, my view is that they should just play the last 10 minutes the next day, and that's it. Get it done and dusted. Don't drag it on for ages. We've got another game now, which, by the way, Championship players do not need another game in their season. It's unnecessary. Could have played the last 10 minutes. Could have got the job done. It's also unfair because the teams are going to be different this time. There's different people with different levels of form and injury and fitness, etc., etc. You are listening to talkSPORT. It's Sam Matterface. It's Alex Crook and Scott Minto on the show this morning with Selco Builders Warehouse. Check out this month's real deals at selcobw.com. It's talkSPORT. It's Sam Matterface. It's Alex Crook and Troy. No Troy Deeney today. We've got Scott Minto.
He shrunk.
He's definitely not.
And got older.
It's bang out of order. I'm about 15 years older than him.
Yeah, you are. But I wonder whether or not that Troy looks as good as Scott does in a pair of budgie smugglers. We saw last year in Tenerife.
You've not seen me in a pair.
We saw you in Tenerife.
Budgie smugglers.
Didn't he wear those golden budgie smugglers in Tenerife?
We caught him. I remember it vividly. We were all sat by the pool, all feeling a little bit worse for wear after a night out, and out the corner of our eye, through the sunshine, we just saw Scott Minto in his underpants, sipping from an espresso, surveying his public.
He is.
That is absolute lie. That's a blatant lie.
We've got a picture.
Okay, prove it.
Over the weekend, we've got more live football for you from League One, including Stockport County, who have been a particularly good story, good feel-good story over the last couple of years. They've progressed their way through the National League, through League Two, into League One. That commentary from Edgeley Park tomorrow, live on talkSPORT 2, which is the home of all of the best EFL football. Let's head back to Manchester now, actually, and speak to Nick Ellaby, who's following Ricky Hatton's funeral, which is drawing ever near. Nick, good afternoon to you. Or good morning to you still. What has been happening in the last hour?
Good morning, Sam. The funeral cortege of Ricky Hatton has just about made its way to the cathedral here. Actually, the top of that cortege was the only Fools and Horses Del Boys three-wheeled yellow vehicle that Ricky actually bought. Such a huge fan of the show that he was. We've also just had the Ricky Hatton band outside the cathedral here play a rousing version of There's Only One Ricky Hatton. We've got hundreds of people now making their way to the other side of the cathedral. Lots of people here who've come to pay their last respects. I understand the coffin will be arriving just at the other side of the cathedral. All the guests now are inside for that service, which starts at 12 noon. An unbelievable who's who of British boxing, sea of people who we've just seen come past us into the cathedral. I've had to write them down. Just so many names we've seen. Frank Bruno looking in very good spirits this morning. Tyson Fury and Tommy Fury was here as well. Tony Bellew, Conor Benn with his dad Nigel, Kell Brook, Amir Khan, Derek Chisora was just having a chat with Tyson Fury outside just now. Wayne Rooney was here as well very recently. Andrew Flintoff, Paddy McGuinness, Tamer Hassan, Wayne Lineker is here. Sean Ryder and Bez from the Happy Mondays. Huge Manchester icon Ricky was. Lots of icons from the world of sport, and also commentators as well. Steve Bunce, the commentator, coming past in floods of tears. I've spoken to a few of the guests. Adam Smith is going to read the eulogy, we understand, and also Ian Darke, the commentator who called some of Ricky's biggest fights. And I had a little chat with Ian earlier ahead of the ceremony, and here's what he said. Ian, you've commented on some of Ricky's biggest fights. What made him such a special fighter, first of all?
Because he had a marquee box office style. Every time you saw him fight, you were more or less guaranteed an all-action display, because he came forward winging away left hooks, wicked shots to the body. And it was an exciting experience to be around, and not all fighters are like that. Some of them can be a bit boring, to be honest with you. Ricky was far from that.
And everyone calls him, people's champion, man of the people. Everyone around Hyde, where I've been this morning, knows him. What is it about the man that made him such a draw as well?
Well, he's such a lovely guy. He was very, very amiable to meet. He had time for everybody, and he was just that bit different. Apart from having that box office style that I've just described to you, the day after he'd go down the pub, sink a few pints of Guinness with his mates, eat some greasy spoon, sausage, egg and chips, join in the karaoke and the silly shirt competition, and that was Ricky, really. And I think that's how he kind of touched people's hearts and captured their imagination, that this very ordinary bloke could go into a ring and do extraordinary things.
And when you think of Ricky, and obviously today, what are your abiding memories of the man?
Well, I'm just very, very sad because, having known him and covered all his his big fights, and I've got to really like him as a fellow. You could never dream, really, that a story with so much triumph could end in the tragedy that it has. So I'm walking around the city this morning down by this cathedral, and there are people, some of them have been in tears. A couple I just met who went to Vegas and saw him fight against Floyd Mayweather and Manny Pacquiao. They were in tears thinking about him, and they were wearing their Manchester City shirts. But it wasn't only the Manchester City fans in this city that loved him. The United fans did as well, and that is a tribute to Ricky. I mean, I think he stands, in the history of this famous sporting city, alongside the sort of sporting royalty of Sir Alex Ferguson and George Best, Bobby Charlton, Dennis Law, and Somerby, Bell, and Lee, and Malcolm Allison. He's going to be remembered for a very long time for all the joy he brought to this city.
It just shows the level of respect, I think, that those in the boxing fraternity and those in Manchester, in fact, all over the UK, have for Ricky, and how much support and love that came his way. And it was always the case, and I think that makes this story even more troubling and even more tragic, Nick. And I know that the Ricky Hatton Foundation are going to spend probably the rest of their existence trying to ensure that this doesn't happen to anybody else.
Absolutely, and I think, we heard from Ian there, and you sort of mentioned Ricky had time for people. A lot of people around here have stories of meeting Ricky and speaking to him. I spoke to a lovely guy this morning in Hyde, near where Ricky grew up, who was a charity worker, and he said Ricky helped him with a number of projects and mental health projects. He was very involved himself in the community as well, and as you say, that does just, maybe give this story an even more tragic edge. He was only 46, absolutely no age at all, but the way he was able to draw those huge crowds, 55,000 people to fight Juan Lezcano, not really a big name himself, 55,000 in the Etihad, and Ricky drew that crowd before social media, before he didn't even really have a big TV deal either, but such was his exciting style and also his way of connecting with people. He was able to garner such a following, and so many people here in Manchester wanting to repay maybe a little bit of that and show his family and friends and his supporters how much he meant to them.
Nick, thank you very much for joining us. That's Nick Ellaby is outside Manchester Cathedral, where the funeral of Ricky Hatton is about to take place, and our best wishes to his family in particular, but to his friends as well, who are suffering at this time. And one of the other things that he managed to do was take so many people to Las Vegas. Mm-hmm. He literally, I think, almost started the big Brit sort of journey over to Las Vegas, because it became a sort of destination to go and watch Ricky Hatton fights, and everybody got on board with that. And you did as well, didn't you?
I was one of them. I mean, I'm not a boxing aficionado, but I do like it, especially at the sort of, world level. But there was something about, I think that was brilliant for Nick and for me, and Dark summed up just perfectly. He was just one of us, wasn't he? He was a typical humble guy who was also a superstar and never seemed to get overly arrogant or wouldn't, as if we'd talk to different people. I remember being in a club with Trev Sinclair, and he came up to him, they were talking, and it was almost as if they'd been mates for years. I remember at Vegas as well, when the point was deducted. I mean, it was literally 90% Brits and 10% Americans, and they couldn't believe it. They were like, what is this going on? Who is this guy? And when the referee deducted a point, I won't finish the sentence, but it was the referee, somebody. He was just absolutely sensational. And as I say, on a day with World Mental Health Day as well, I think anyone who sees anyone struggling or acting differently should just ask them how they are.
He was in a bar with us, wasn't he, in Manchester? Do you remember we were out with Mickey Gray after a game, Albert Schloss, I think it was, and obviously he got recognised because he was very distinctive, but he had time for everybody, he was enjoying himself, he was posing for photos, he was chatting with the fans, and that really just summed up Ricky Hatton.
Yeah. And our thoughts, listen, I mentioned it before, we were lucky enough to spend some time with him, and we know a couple of people who are very, very close to him, so look, best wishes to them on a very difficult day. You are listening to Talk Sport. We'll move the conversation to Scotland next, because we've got news on new Rangers manager.
talkSPORT Sports Update powered by the Nissan Van Range. Supporting van owners to get the job done. Search Nissan Vans or head to your local Nissan Van Centre.
With your latest sports headlines, I'm Matt Hutchinson. Ricky Hatton's band has welcomed people to the streets of Manchester, paying tribute to the boxing legend. Well, his coffin has been making its way through the city this morning, and we've been speaking to people lining the streets, and there's thousands of them.
It's just so sad. We've lost a legend here today.
He was, always regarded as a man of the people. He was the local lad, Dungord.
I've met him a few times. In Hyde and Denton in the pubs. Always had a smile on his face, always polite. He's one of ours, isn't he?
Well, Hatton's private funeral is starting at Manchester Cathedral in the next few moments. Once that's finished, his coffin will be making its way to the Etihad Stadium, of course home to his beloved Manchester City. Elsewhere this lunchtime, we've been hearing from Morgan Rogers, who continued to stake his claim for the England 10 shirt with a goal and an assist against Wales. He says it's no bad thing to be fighting with Bellingham, Foden, Palmer and Grealish for that position.
Every player will be breathing down each other's necks and the competition will be high, and that's what we want as an England squad. That's what we want as a nation going into a tournament. You want people competing for places, you want different options, and I think that's what we got. So I'm just going to keep pushing and see where it takes me.
Next up for England is Latvia on Tuesday night. You can hear that one, of course, live right here on talkSPORT. Premier League referee Anthony Taylor has revealed his family no longer go to watch his matches because of the abuse officials can get. He says refs are now expected to satisfy a culture of perfection. And the Aussies still have lingering hopes that Pat Cummins will be able to play in the first Ashes test. The fast bowler returns to running this week as he recovers from a back injury. Their head coach said he's optimistic Cummins could still play down under.
talkSPORT News.
Israel's military is pulling back in Gaza after their ceasefire with Hamas officially came into effect. And at least 2 people have died following a strong earthquake in the Philippines. More from the news team at past.
talkSPORT weather with QuickFit. Come rain or shine, wherever and whenever suits you with our mobile tyre fitting service. Now that will have you driving away happy every time. Conditions apply.
We're expecting a dry Friday afternoon for most of the UK, with plenty of sunny spells in the north and the west.
talkSPORT is Sam Matterface with Alex Crook and Scott Minto, and we are here through till 1 o'clock. Look, it's World Mental Health Day today, and we mentioned that in regards to the sad passing of Ricky Hatton, whose funeral is taking place in Manchester Cathedral as we speak. And we're going to talk about Anthony Taylor, the referee, as well. I think it's really important for us to highlight this issue, people having mental health struggles. It happens to most people during the course of their lifetime. I always say this, but whoever is your confidant, make sure you use them, make sure you talk to them. Do not feel that you are alone. I am in a very, very lucky position. I have him every single day of my life, on the phone, on the text, at all hours. He's my friend, which is, I'm being honest here for us.
Yeah, you are.
And we talk every day. Whenever we have a problem, we ring each other. And we've got each other to lean on.
Yeah, we have.
Everybody needs that person to lean on, don't they?
They do, and don't be afraid to talk. Particularly, I think for us guys, sometimes we find it difficult to express our feelings. Maybe we even see it as a sign of weakness, but certainly that isn't the case. And as the old saying goes, a problem shared is a problem halved, and I do believe that.
Premier League referee Anthony Taylor has been doing a special discussion because of the problems that he's had in the aftermath of some of the big incidents that have been over-scrutinised and the abuse that he's received being in football. He says that the win-at-all-cost approach has a detrimental effect on the mental health and performance of future referees, because now the current culture is that we're chasing perfection. This is Anthony Taylor on the abuse and scrutiny of officials speaking in the last 24 hours.
And we take that fear factor of making a mistake, being told you're not very good, and if you're continually told you're not very good, now whether that be by people in the media, by pundits, or even ex-officials who should have a better understanding and be more balanced in that, then yeah, people's mental health could potentially suffer. I wouldn't argue against scrutiny being there. I'm not saying scrutiny isn't there to be expected, but everybody who watches football always sees a game through the eyes of their team.
Yeah.
And the result of a football match and the culmination of a football season is multifaceted. It's not dependent on one match official decision. It's not dependent on one player missing one penalty in a game. It's not dependent on one coach making one tactical error during a game. We're playing over 38 games. So to say the argument that one decision has cost somebody the whole season, it's just factually not true, because there'll be plenty of other incidents in a game or over that season where the results of games have been affected.
He was speaking there to the BBC, Anthony Taylor, the referee, and he also believes that VAR has created unrealistic expectations, that those who expected it to create decision-making utopia, and says that that's way off the mark. And he's right on that, isn't he?
Absolutely. I mean, I've said from the start that I'm for VAR. We're years down the line. I'm still not for in the way it's been implemented, and there's been some terrible decisions, there really have. But if people do think that this means it was going to be 100% correct in every way, it's just impossible, because the majority of the decisions are subjective. You know, was that a foul? Was that not a foul? Obviously, you've got the definites of the offside, and even a handball can be seen as subjective. So
it is subjective.
Absolutely.
Because whether it's deliberate or not depends on whether or not you believe that the position of the arm was there to extend the body silhouette, and that can only be a subjective call.
Yeah. Look, I think there's such a fine line, and on a day of World Mental Health Day, we've so got to try and, as Crookie correctly and very eloquently said, if you've got a problem, try and speak. A problem shared is a problem halved. But at the same time, I think there are a lot of people who, when there are issues, you know, throw in the mental health card. And I think when it comes to football, I think we've got to realise that this is a tough business. This is a multi-billion-pound industry where decisions, whether they're right or whether they're wrong, a referee cannot be perfect. It will not be walk away from any game and people turn around and say, on both sides, that was a really good game from the referee. It's just not going to happen.
And he goes on to say this. He says the amount of scrutiny and the amount of analysis and chat around Premier League football means everybody has a quest for perfection. In reality, perfection doesn't exist. We're expecting referees to get decisions right, all of them. It's really important that we actually start to talk about people being fearful of failure or mistakes, because actually what we don't want is to create a culture where they're more likely not to make a decision because of the fear of getting it wrong than actually making one.
I think we've got that already when it comes to VAR. For me, the big criticism I have is that the match is no longer being refereed on the field. Too many referees are afraid of making the decision because they know they've got that fallback of somebody else watching the game at Stockley Park and pointing out where they've made an error. So I do think that's a fundamental flaw. What I also think is that referees are convenient scapegoats when things are going badly. I mean, Gabby Agbonlahor, love him. He's not stopped bleating on about the fact that Aston Villa are not in the Champions League because of a bad decision at Old Trafford on the final day of last season. That isn't true, because if you look at the first half of that game, they were absolutely dreadful. They got battered by a Manchester United team who just lost the Europa League final. The reason Villa are not in the Champions League is because they didn't play well enough on that final day, not because of a refereeing decision.
And Anthony's right in that regard, right? It's not just one decision that decides whether or not you get into a competition or you win a game. Actually, it's the performance over the course of a season, it's the performance over the course of a game, sometimes even the performance over the course of a career.
Yeah, he's absolutely right. Although what I would say is, obviously, if you get into the last game of the season, I understand where Crookie's coming from, but that one decision, if it had gone the other way, no matter how much they were playing really badly, might have been different. You know, so
we were at the game. They
were terrible. They were terrible on the day, and they're up against a shocking United side, and they're relying on a decision. But how often do we see it? When we say good teams find a way to win, whether it's by luck or, you know, by never giving up. I just think that the bigger picture here is we've all got to, whether it's media, fans, and if you possibly can, you know, the fans who walk away and they're so tribalistic. It's why we love football. It's why it's so popular. It's why there's 24/7 shows. we love it. We want to talk about it all the time. We're all, whether you played the game or not, football fans first and foremost. So we're really pleased that people are passionate about it. And there'll always be a very few who will go over the top, and they should be sanctioned in any way they could possibly do that. But at the same time, we've all got to realise it's a lot of pressure. It does mean a lot. And I listened to Gabby this morning and I couldn't disagree with him. Look where Aston Villa are, and from a PSR point of view over the summer. It might have been.
Was he
it
still
might not
moaning
have been.
about it this morning? I didn't even know that.
He mentioned it this morning.
Amazing.
But no,
It's
he wasn't moaning about it. It came up. But I can't necessarily disagree. But
what about the goalie that got sent off?
No. Listen, I'm not
herring out of his goal.
I'm not.
Did he not contribute to that as well?
I'm not defending him at all here. What I am just saying is, if we can, in the bigger picture, when decisions look like they're bad decisions, we don't go over the top on it, because nobody's perfect.
Just the last point on this, I spoke to Hal Webb at the Premier League launch in Liverpool, and he said that one of the things he wanted to do was bring in more support in terms of mental health for referees. I'd like to get him back on this programme and find out exactly what form that support comes in.
You speak to anybody that's involved in it, and they will tell you that there's so much more now than there has been for a very long time.
There should be. Because we're all human beings and we all can be affected whether we like it or not.
Absolutely. And as Anthony Taylor highlighted in his interview there's been an increase in verbal and physical abuse towards officials that's impacting not just Premier League football, but all levels of football, with refs quitting the grassroots game and fixtures going unplayed as a result of that, because you have to have a referee to play a football match. And if you have any involvement with grassroots football, then we want to hear from you in the talkSPORT dugout and get your views on the refereeing situation at your local team or your kids' football club as well. You can head to the dugout on the talkSPORT app or via our website at talksport.com/dugout to sign up and join the discussion. There's talksport.com/dugout, and you can listen for a special show on Wednesday night's kickoff programme, 7 o'clock, as we delve deeper into the refereeing situation at grassroots level. Let's get to the Scottish Premiership. Rangers about to announce a new manager, Alex Crook.
Yeah, not done yet, but certainly it's getting ever closer. Steven Gerrard, I think very much that the fans' choice to replace Russell Martin very quickly has become the front runner following Martin's departure from Ibrox on Sunday night. We were reporting yesterday that Gerrard was in London for talks with a couple of the top brass at Rangers, and I'm now being told that an agreement is close for Gerrard to return and become Rangers manager for the second time. Of course, he led them to the title during his first stint in charge, went off to Aston Villa, didn't really work out there, has had a spell in Saudi Arabia. The job would have been Gerrard's if he wanted it in the summer. He didn't. They went for Russell Martin instead. Seemingly, he's had a change of heart, and it looks like this one will get done.
Rangers fans, react to that, please. 03717 223344. You can text us 81089. You can get in touch via the usual social media. You can WhatsApp us on 03717 223344 as well. Looks like Gerrard is about to return to Ibrox as their new manager. Bit of a different state that he finds them to what he left behind. What can he do with this group? Tell us what you think. We want to hear from you. We're also going to talk more about Scottish football in the next few moments. I don't know who was shining down on Scotland last night, but boy, did they get away with a really good result as they beat Greece 3-1. We'll review that next. It is talkSPORT. It's Sam Matterface alongside Scott Minto and Alex Crook. We are here with Selco Builders Warehouse. It's where the trade go. And Bill Leckie, the football writer for the Scottish Sun, joins us now from Scotland. Bill, a very good morning to you. Good to speak to you as always. We love having you on the programme. And what a morning to come on as well and celebrate a Scottish victory.
Yeah, one of Steve Clarke's biggest ever results off the back of one of Scotland's worst performances in a long, long time.
Doesn't matter, they all count. They all count.
Well, they do, yeah, but you've still got to look at why. You know, we've had a terrible home record. We were brilliant at home for a long time, and then that was only our second home win in the last 10. And honestly, for about six, I mean, you can see I'm maybe I would say I've got a bit of sling in my arm just now. I've just had shoulder surgery, and I'm so glad I was one of the fortunate few who was out of his head in painkillers last night while it was while Greece were taking us to bits. And then suddenly for the last 25 minutes, he made a couple of changes. Things came together, and we end up with this fantastic result that gives us such a brilliant chance to be in the finals as of right, or at very least to get ourselves a playoff.
Well, the playoff position will be secured on Sunday if they beat Belarus, which is amazing, isn't it? Well, I mean, if things go their way. But that is an amazing position to be in with 2 games left of the group.
Yeah, this is very much like old school qualifying when there used to be 3-4 teams in a group, as opposed to the 5s and the 6s in a group where things become a lot more complicated. It's microwaved down into these little sort of 3 double headers. And you now know that if Denmark were to beat Greece in Copenhagen, and if we can beat Belarus, then we know we've got the playoff. That's ours, tucked away. And then it hopefully comes down to the last night at home to Denmark. If we can get something out of Greece away, it then comes down to beating Denmark at home, and that's a kind of cup final where you've got to believe in yourself to do that.
Bill, Steve Clarke's next game as Scotland manager will be a record 72nd in charge. No other manager has ever been at the helm for so many matches. But in some ways, does last night show why a lot of the Scotland fans are still divided about his tenure? Because for much of the night, they were very defensive, weren't they? Allowing Greece to dictate the pace of the game and then turned it on when they really needed to.
I don't think Scotland fans are particularly divided about him. I think we all have that same feeling that... quite often when it comes to these must-win games, he kind of overthinks, and we go into our shell a little bit. Like so last night, I couldn't believe that Billy Gilmour didn't start when we needed to be on the ball and we needed to be comfortable on the ball. We didn't have it, and he's done that a few times in big kind of set-piece matches. But overall, Steve Clarke's legacy is going to be one of huge improvement, massive progress, great success. He took us over at a time when we were absolutely... on our knees, and he's taken us to 2 finals already. The fact that we didn't do well at those 2 finals is a great source of frustration, but he's got us there. But I do think that on nights like these, he needs to be a little braver sometimes, and it took a long time for the brave pills to kick in and for us to get what, in the end, people might say we deserve. Maybe we didn't deserve, but I've been at plenty of Scotland games and we've played really well and we've lost, so we'll take it anytime.
Well, listen, there's every chance that they can get to the World Cup now because of that result last night. Fingers crossed that it continues the journey. And if they did get to the World Cup, I think his legacy would be cemented because it would be the first time since 1998. And bearing in mind that there was a period where Scotland were the ones that you could rely on to qualify, and nobody else was at the end of the 70s or in the 70s and in the early 80s. That is a major source of frustration for everyone, I think, that, it's been 1998 is a very long time ago.
When we came off the back in 1998, I remember we were trying to qualify for Euro 2000. It didn't happen. And we kind of went, that's okay, that's fine. We'll be back for the next World Cup. Now, we went back for the next World Cup, and then you didn't make the next Euros. And then suddenly this self-fulfilling prophecy came along where we almost were out of tournaments by the time you'd played 2 matches. And we went through a succession of managers, and we almost got to the Euros under Alex McLeish. Didn't quite happen. Gordon Strachan had us very close to a World Cup playoff. It didn't quite happen.
One goal.
And then Steve Clarke's brought us into this position where we now are challenging to be in every tournament that we take part in, which is something that we that was all we really wanted. And we're now in that situation. And it's a great place to be. And to be disappointed about not doing well in finals is something that we've prayed for a long, long time. To be at this World Cup, I would have hated to see Steve Clarke, and I would still hate to see Steve Clarke's reign end on an anticlimax. I want to see him get the thing that he truly wants, which is to lead his country to a World Cup. I think he deserves that. And I think the way that he's galvanised the team and the country, he's brought the fans back together with the players when we were really disconnected for a long time. I think he's done wonders for Scotland. But I do wish sometimes we would just believe in ourselves a bit more on nights like these.
Okay, let's talk Rangers, because we understand that Steven Gerrard is going to become the old new manager of Rangers in the next 24 hours. May even be an announcement before the end of the weekend. What do you make of that appointment, and what is the first thing in his in-tray?
Well, the first thing in his entry you would think would be, how do I get a better tune out of these players than Russell Martin did? That's to me, that's all that's mattered. There was too much talk under Russell Martin of things slightly improving and long-term and projects. Win games. That's all a manager at any club has to do, is win games. So his first thing will be start winning games. Once you start winning games, the fans stop complaining and everything starts to roll into place. Do I think he's the right appointment? I am not entirely sure. In fact, I'm not at all sure. The whole do you go back thing. But it seems a very strange thing that the Rangers owners have admitted they made a big mistake with Russell Martin, a man who they threw their everything behind, and it was just a debacle for Rangers. And then they've got the whole world to go and choose from. And it seems to be that if Steven Gerrard wants this job, he will get this job. Which, I don't know, something doesn't feel right about that. You know, the sort of the process of, well, as a guy who was here before, he won the league during COVID. He won 1 trophy out of 9 that he played for under Rangers. He won the league, and it's as if, well, he's the guy to fix everything. And I don't see where the justification is that he is the guy to fix everything. I think he might well come in and get a better tune out the team. He might well get players who have been left out back in the team and get them playing better again. I just don't know. There's something about it that doesn't sit for me.
Was it not the case, though, Bill, that Gerrard was the number one choice in the summer, and obviously they couldn't get him then, so they went for Russell Martin? And when they say they've made a mistake, are they almost saying we made a mistake by not pushing harder to get Steven back in the summer?
Yeah, but I'm still not sure whether he'd been the right man in the summer either, is the point I'm making. I'm not, 1 trophy out of 9, goes to Aston Villa, doesn't do particularly well, goes off to Saudi, not pulling up trees there. I'm not sure what the justification is for saying that this is the guy who comes in and turns things around for Rangers. And he might well prove that he is the guy. I'm just saying at the moment, I don't really see it. I don't see all the blocks falling into place automatically just because it's Steven Gerrard.
Bill, who would your option be? I've heard Simon Jordan mention Rafa Benitez would be a good one. Obviously, there's Derek McGuinness, although Hearts fans wouldn't want to hear about that. No. If you don't think Steven Gerrard would be the great option, who would you go for?
I genuinely don't know. I think it's such a big, wide world. Who's available? I don't know. He ruled himself out very, very early on. I think Sean Dyche would have been great for Rangers. And in terms of what they need just now, getting a shape, players knowing what they're doing, being able to put the kettle on for what you're going to get out of a team, that's what they need just now. Rangers need reliability. I think Sean Dyche would have given them that. He obviously decided early on, no, this won't be for me. Derek McInnes was invited to look at the job back in 2017. Didn't want it. He's just gone to Hearts. They're doing really well. I think it would be, just even for his life, his quality of life, it would be a disastrous thing to do. But I don't think Tony Bloom would be having it at the moment.
Kevin Muscat? What about Kevin Muscat, former Rangers player, done well in other leagues?
He always gets linked, doesn't he? But he never gets that close to the job.
There's a massive thing here with Rangers and with Celtic, that if you've been there before, it makes you a better operator. Now, Kevin Muscat was there with Rangers when they were a really good team, and he put himself about, and the fans liked him because he hurled himself into tackles, and he's done well over in Asia and Australasia, and yeah, he's done well. But again, I don't see what the qualifications are for him to come in and be a Rangers manager who can challenge Celtic. I don't see it. You don't have to have a connection with the club to be the right man to manage the club. You know that. So, but it's an obsession that Celtic and Rangers have, that they need to have a Rangers man or a Celtic man or somebody with connections, somebody who knows what the club is all about. I think they just need somebody that's going to win games.
Yeah. Bill, thank you very much for coming on. Good to talk to you as always. Congratulations to Scotland last night. They will have to improve on their performance as they go into the last couple of games, but if they win against Belarus at the weekend, they give themselves a great chance of being in contention for a place at the World Cup. This is talkSPORT.
shirt. Will the Villa man perform well again in England's comfortable 3-0 win over Wales? Thomas Tuchel has told talkSPORT what he brings to the team.
He has the physique to impose himself. He can run, he can score, he can assist. He's a very, very humble player, a top team player. and he fights for his shirt, for his place, and the question is why not?
Well, you can hear England-Latvia live right here on talkSPORT. That one's on Tuesday night. Meanwhile, Ethan Ampadu says the defeat is bruising for Wales, but is confident they'll bounce back. Wales host a vital World Cup qualifier against Belgium on Monday. Now, Scotland's road to America looks a little more achievable following a 3-1 win against Greece. The performance was far from convincing, but Steve Clarke's men scored 3 goals without reply in the last half hour, having gone 1-0 down.
When the shackles came off, we just seemed to run half a yard faster. And that comes because of the determination within the group to make sure that it wasn't going to be another disappointing night here at Hampden.
And Anthony Taylor doesn't want his family to go to any more of his matches. The Premier League ref says following the Europa League final in 2023, his loved ones were pushed by fans and had a chair thrown at them.
It's talkSPORT, Sam Matterface and Alex Crook. We're here till 1 o'clock. The head of English football's new regulator has told talkSPORT that they don't have the power to make clubs cut the cost of match day tickets. David Cogan, OBE, has been explaining to Henry Winter how they can help fans who they feel are paying too much.
I mean, one of the things in this job I'm learning is everybody believes that we have a remit in every conceivable area of football, be it meat pies, be it ticket prices, be it whatever. We don't. So we're going to put out fan engagement next week, and the fan engagement rules we put out are very, very, well, they're new. And they put enormous onus on clubs to work with fans in a very, very formal way of clubs, of fans' involvement in any number of issues within the clubs. We can't directly get involved in ticket prices. What we can do is understand how the fans themselves within clubs are getting involved in that issue, because clubs now have a duty to consult fans on issues such as that.
All right, that was David Cogan, and the full interview with the chair of the independent regulator can be heard on this Sunday edition with Henry Winter and Sean Custis from 10 a.m. This Sunday. Great show. And they've also got Steve Parish coming on the programme as well. Always top guest, Sunday morning, 10 o'clock, with Sean Custis and Henry Winter. You will also find out who David Cogan supports, what can be done to sort out the mess at Sheffield Wednesday, and his views on the ongoing financial dispute between the Premier League and the EFL. Sunday from 10. Right, a little bit later on today, Strive Aid takes place. It's a charity football match organised by Striver, the abuse-free social media platform. Jeremy Aliadier is a big part of organising this match, and there's Brazilian World Cup winners that are involved in it, like Gilberto Silva and Roberto Carlos. We've got Angry Ginge, Jack Mate, Sol Campbell, Ross Cook, the hardest geezer. Troy Deeney was supposed to be involved as well. I'm not too sure that he's going to be involved today now as a result of not being able to be here. But it does take place at Woodside Road a little bit later on in aid of their chosen charity, Calm, the mental health charity. And I caught up with Jeremy Aliadier a little bit earlier on today to talk to him about what to expect.
We've already had one last year who had so many views and so many people involved. So we decided to do it again. So it'll be Gilberto Silva, Roberto Carlos, myself, Troy Deeney's coming, Angry Ginge, so many content creators as well. It should be a really good day. Very good fun, all about a great cause, as you mentioned. Hopefully we'll we'll sell a lot of tickets, and then we'll have a lot of people all around.
Looking forward to it. And look, it's obviously Troy's not here at the moment. What are you going to do to stop him from, bossing the scene? Because he's quite fit now. You've seen him on Celebrity SAS. He's up for a bit of a battle. How do you stop him from stealing the show?
Well, I just hope he'll be my team so we can link up together. I won't have to play against him. But if we do, I'll make sure I'm far away on the other side of the pitch from him. I'll let the other one deal with him.
It's interesting. Some of the names you mentioned there, for people of a certain age, it was a glorious era for international football, that Brazilian team with Roberto Carlos and Gilberto Silva in particular. We're in the midst of World Cup qualification now. We've just been looking at the list of sides who will qualify for the tournament next summer. There isn't really a standout team like that Brazil team, is there? Are you expecting a wide-open World Cup? Do you have a favourite at this moment in time?
Well, obviously, being French, I would love France to do well. But yeah, no, I think England's got a great chance. They've got great talent. But as you just mentioned, I think there's no a real favourite for that World Cup. I think it could be very open. Being in America as well, it's a different environment. So yeah, really looking forward to it. And let's the best team win.
Let's talk a little bit about the title race, because last weekend Arsenal went top of the table for the first time, and the narrative around them sort of started to change. Everyone started to claim that they'd been tipping them to win the title all along. Do you think that the way they've started the season has earned them title favourite status?
I think so far they're probably the best team, the best squad, I will say. But I still think it's very, very early. So many things can happen from now till the end of the season. Obviously I'm very confident as an Arsenal fan and an Arsenal man, but I still think there's so much football to be played and so many things that can happen that is, in my eyes, a bit too early to really predict Arsenal winning it. I still think they're favourite, but I think it's still a long way to go.
As a former forward, what have you made of Victor Gyökeres and his start to his Arsenal career? Because it's been a while now, actually, since he scored a goal.
There's been a bit of criticism around Arsenal and the fan lately. I'll be there to defend him. I know how it feels to move to a different country and adapt to a new type of football as well. I do think he brings something different to the team, something that we haven't had for a few years. So I will try to look at his all-around performance and not just purely on the goal scored. So for me, it's been a good start. He's working so hard and try to understand his teammates and his teammates to play for him as well. Because that's something I think people forget to talk about. It's not like he misses a lot of chances. He doesn't really get a lot. So I think if the team start creating more chances for him, I'm sure he will end up scoring more goals. It's been a few years now when Arsenal have been very, very close. And it always been through, I'm not gonna always bring the injuries, but it always been through that Arsenal kind of struggled to replace when big name players got injured, last year in particular. And I do feel this season there's a new vibe around the club in terms of when someone do get injured, as Bukayo Saka did at the beginning of the season. There was no panic. We knew we had the people on the bench and in the squad to come in and do as well as the player injured. So yeah, I do think that depth in the squad will take Arsenal to the top this year.
Jeremy Ali-Adier, part of the Striver Aid charity match, which is taking place today. I thought it was really interesting, actually. He was talking about Victor Gyökeres in that interview where he was saying, he's actually doing a lot more than just being the man who scores the goals. He's making runs and he's doing things that open up space for other players. And the depth of the squad and the variety of talent that Arsenal have got around him will be key.
Well, on the All Access podcast that I predicted Arsenal to win the title at the start of the season.
You did.
I still think everyone's sort of suddenly Liverpool in crisis. Well, hold on a second. They've had a bad week. And that's it. And I think they will eventually get it right. And then they're more capable of going on a 10, 15, 20 match unbeaten run. But you look at Arsenal, and I think it took them a couple of games to actually realise they do now have a number 9 and they can play to a number 9 strengths. I also think that people didn't realise that Gyökeres did what Isak and Vissa did at Sporting. You know, he refused to play. He didn't want to, sort of didn't do the proper training. So he's not there 100% in terms of his fitness. So he's gaining that fitness now. But if you look at the runs he makes, if Arsenal do play to his strengths, plus with the strength and depth they've got, I've always said anyone who finishes above Liverpool wins the title. It's the same for Arsenal.
So do you think that over the last weekend there was a little bit of a knee-jerk reaction? Because all of a sudden it feels like Arsenal have gone from being, Arsenal, they're going to drop points, they're too cautious, they don't do this. And then Liverpool have a bad week and they capitalise. And all of a sudden everyone says, well, you know, I said they were favourites for it, they'll win the title.
Well, they're odds on with the bookies, aren't they?
They are now. They've moved into favouritism as a result. Is that an overreaction, a knee-jerk reaction?
Has he flip-flopped yet?
Several times. What, today?
Well, yeah.
I tipped up Liverpool at the start of the season. I think he was on City, so we were on 3 different teams. Are you standing by City?
I'm standing by City, yeah.
Okay.
I'm standing by City religiously no matter what, because they have Haaland up front and they have Donnarumma in goal.
See, I will say if Arsenal can't win it this year under Mikel Arteta, then they never will.
So you're sticking by Liverpool?
Ask me again. Ask me again.
7 games into the season. I can't change this early.
No.
Right? Okay, so I'm quite happy to stick with my pick. I picked for a season, not just for Christmas.
That's my point.
Unlike the Crookster, who picks just for a week and then he'll change it.
No, go on. I'll stand by Liverpool.
Whatever bandwagon has come across.
Corey's really gone for it there. He's standing by Liverpool.
Wirtz is going to fire. Isak is going to get up to full fitness, and they'll sort out the defensive issues. And I still think when it comes to it, the business end of the season, I just think Arsenal have the capability to do something mad and drop points where you wouldn't expect them to.
I think they've got the strongest squad in the Premier League. And I think with the experience they've had of the last few years, I think it was really important for Liverpool to show their vulnerability and they're not just the superheroes going to get even better, because let's face it, on paper, they've improved from last season. What I think people didn't realise is it takes a bit of time for everybody to gel, move to different country, different maybe language as well. For Wirtz, for example, Isak didn't train at all. He's trying to get fit. The dynamic between him and Ekitike, you know, what's going to happen when they're all fit and there's a real big game there? Are there going to be issues? We know that Ekitike did, you know, taking off his shirt, but don't doubt Liverpool and don't doubt Arne Slot. When people sort of say, is this his first test? No, his first test was coming in and doing something that Jurgen Klopp didn't do with Jurgen Klopp's team. So for people to say that was Jurgen Klopp's team, I think shows a lack of respect for Slot.
Who's looked less comfortable so far this season? Liverpool defensively or that earpiece that you got? What is going on there?
I'll take it off.
You look like you're auditioning
Hold
for
on a second. To be fair, I can't believe you're having a go at someone for not knowing how to use one of those earpieces. Bearing in mind,
I've cracked it now.
You've been here for, like, literally in this studio for 10 weeks and you still can't put one in.
Do you know what? He has cracked it. He's taken it out.
He's just taken it out.
It means I don't have to listen to the ref bleating on.
You know his famous phrase, don't you? You know whenever I'm sort of complaining about him flip-flopping or whatever, right, you know his famous phrase is, you have to know which horse to ride and then when to get off. This is talkSPORT. You're listening to Sam Matterface and Alex Crook with Selco Builders Warehouse. Check out this month's real deal at selcobw.com.
talkSPORT. It's Sam Matterface, Alex Crook and Scott Minder. Scott, thank you very much for rescuing the show today.
Thank you, mate. Yeah, well,
very good of
I
you.
got the call at 10 to 10.
Yeah, and you were here by 11. In fact, you were actually here even earlier than that. I saw you lurking out in the background, 5-2, something like that. You live
in the basement and you're just waiting for the call up.
I forgot my earpiece, so that means that he could have a pop at me with the earpieces. I've just tried one.
He doesn't really have a pop at many people.
I do. The graphic, you look really. I don't know if you look sort of mean.
The
or
main man in the
thoughtful
centre. Main man in the centre.
If you're just the biggest guy.
How is he in the centre?
Because he's the biggest guy. They couldn't fit him in the background.
They got to minimise him somehow and put him on the wing.
That wouldn't be fair, though. That would be a bad representation of actuality, wouldn't it, if they tried to minimise him? He's the tallest guy you've ever met in your life. Pep Guardiola, he's the big guy in the room, but how long is he going to be the big guy in the room? He's a close confidant, someone who worked with him for 18 years, Carlos Plancart, who was with him at Bayern Munich, Barcelona and Manchester City before stepping away at the end of the last season, has suggested that he might have to step away and regenerate. He said it's a personal decision that he's going to have to make. I think a project should last 5 or 6 years and no more, but not for him, for everyone. Afterwards, you have to regenerate. As a friend, I would tell him to look for a new project because he still has a long way to go. This is why he's been at City for so many years. They've treated us like a family. They've let us work as if we're at home. He didn't feel that way at Barca or Bayern. He's a fanatic about football. His life is on the green grass. He's a genius, a creator. His greatest strength is how he invents football. The difficult thing is this life is creating. The rest of us are copycats. He is the number one at this. What do you make of those comments? I mean, is the job of a Premier League manager ever been more draining? You've seen Klopp already throw the towel in because he's done too much, and now they're talking about Pep in this same manner.
I mean, you guys know what I think about Pep Guardiola, and the fact that he has not just been a top-class manager, who I've got respect for anybody who manages football, and then he's a top-class manager, and then he's a top-class manager who's won trophies, and then he's a top-class manager who's won trophies where half the world's trying to copy him at all levels, from academy
consistently
to Championship, League One, League Two, different tiers. People have asked me, has Pep Guardiola ruined football? Or English football? After I stop laughing, the answer is, well, these coaches are trying to think they're Pep Guardiola and trying to think they've got players like Pep Guardiola has. But, I sort of heard, I did a little bit digging at the start of the season, and I spoke to some Spanish sources and people are sort of a little bit in the know. He wasn't sure, he had 1 year left in his contract. He wasn't sure if he was going to be offered the England job, the Brazil job.
Well, they did sound him out, didn't they? He sort of revealed that.
They did. So he thought that after 4 straight English top flight titles, something never been done before in English football, that 1 more year left in the contract, these guys can go again, and he was wrong. Boy, did they fall off a cliff. So then I think he's thinking, well, I can't leave them in this state, so he signed a new contract. I get it. I can only imagine how draining it is, and sometimes you listen to him and other managers, pre-match, post-match especially, during the week, he looks tired of the questioning and almost just wants to have a proper football intellectual chat rather than certain journalists looking for a little bit of a headline.
Why did you look at him?
No. I'm not looking at cricket.
Actually, I've had a good chat with him this year.
I did last week.
Yeah, he's been really good, actually.
I think if you get into the football chat, then absolutely he loves that. But to do it year after year after year, I mean, he's won 6 Premier League titles in the last 8 years. That is Sir Alex Ferguson and territory, which is absolutely sensational. And the way he does it as well must be very, very taxing. But where does he go after Manchester City?
Well, you can only think it would be a national team job,
be.
But I don't think he'll bounce straight from club management to manage a juggernaut like Brazil or even England, because, of course, that job could be available after the World Cup. But it's one of the hardest things, isn't it? If you're a brilliant manager, as he clearly is, knowing when to bow out. Jurgen Klopp, there was talk that he won a quadruple in his last season. Didn't quite happen. Brian Clough obviously bowed out on the back of relegation. Arsene Wenger arguably stuck around for probably 4 years longer than he should have done because he was hoping to go out in a blaze of glory. Sir Alex Ferguson signs Robin van Persie, having missed out on the title on the last day of the previous season, wins the league, sails off into the sunset.
Genius.
I'm sure that is how Pep Guardiola would want to go out. So if he did win the title or even a Champions League this year, maybe he might think, do you know what? This is the time to go.
You talk about going out on a high and knowing when to go out, but the key thing also in all of those stories is that everybody knew that those managers were leaving, apart from Sir Alex Ferguson. The only one that we didn't know about was Sir Alex.
Yeah. And actually, when he retired first time round, and he did announce it,
they went off. They went off a cliff.
Absolutely went off the rails.
And the bottom line is, Sam, it's down to Pep.
Yeah,
you know, it's how he feels. Everybody's different, and I'm going to put him in the same sentence. I wonder if Crookie will know when to bow out at the very top as well.
Do you remember when I told you about Sir Alex leaving? Do you remember how it happened? How you found out?
I was in your house.
You weren't. You were leaving, and I ran down the stairs. I just got a text message. I went, Crook. And you had to come back in, didn't you?
I was supposed to be in the office that day. I went sick.
Yeah, you cried, didn't you?
I went to work.
Yeah.
I'm mature. I'd like to say I've matured since then.
No, you definitely haven't.
It's a true story. The producer went, "Is that true?" I went, "Yeah, it's true." He cried and didn't go to work.
Don't think I cried.
You did cry.
Maybe shed a tear.
It's been lovely to see you again. It hasn't been long. Well, I see you Sunday for the Sunday session because, of course, I know you're always in every time that we do.
No, my daughter is getting rebaptised at the age of 15 on Sunday morning, and then I'm off to Goodwood Races.
Not quite what he said to me when I asked him earlier off air. He went, "International break. I'm not coming in. Don't be so ridiculous. Sunday's international break."
He charges double.
I'll be here. I'm running a half marathon on Sunday. Royal Parks half marathon. I'm raising money for Orchid, which is a male cancer charity. My brother had cancer in at the early part of the year. You know about that. Some people won't. We've had colleagues at this station who have suffered with prostate cancer and testicular cancer. I've had testicular cancer, raising money for that. I will put my link on Instagram a little bit later on.
I will donate, even if he won't.
Will you donate?
I will.
Ahead of the event, even though he won't do it until after the event because he's got this thing about my hamstring.
He's bang out of order. So does he actually have to finish it? What about if he does halfway through and the hamstring
I'm just trying to incentivise him, all right?
Yeah.
Because I don't part with my money easily. He knows that, so he's got to earn it.
We all know that. You're not carrying him again, are you?
I definitely wouldn't get round
today.
If that was the case. Crikey. Thank you very much. It's nice to see you. Guess what? Monday, Jim and Simon back in this slot. It's always a brilliant show. But imagine if you could have this guest, Paul Gascoigne. Wow. Monday, Jim and Simon. Make sure you're in talkSPORT.